Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight? Oh man, it's going to be an exciting night tonight. Something really, really interesting. Um, man, oh man, I'm excited about this tonight. And I was going to try and be a little bit sneaky about it and just kind of like have it be a surprise. But it's such big news that I wanted to show it. So yes, welcome everybody to Bridge the Divide. I am JL. And this is your first time here. I welcome you. Thank you so much for checking it out. And of course, tonight we are going to be we're going to be watching live down from Rice University in Houston, Texas, the debate between Dave Farina, aka Professor Dave Explains, and Dr. James Tour. So this should be a very interesting debate. It's going to be on the origins of life, or the hypothesis of abiogenesis. This should be very, very, very interesting. Yes. Okay. So a lot to cover because it goes live here in a bit. I already have it queued up, and it looks like it's going live in about 23 minutes. So, and I have it already pulled up and ready to go. So what we're going to do is, first I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat before it gets a little too thick and I have difficulty catching everybody. So I see, hey, Elizabeth S., good to see you, member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much for being here. Scott Duke as well. My pleasure to host this. Absolutely. Been waiting for this. It's a me, Mario. It's a me, Mario. It's a me, Mario Rui. Good to see you, Mario, a member of the Godless Army. Definitely hope you enjoy this on the replay. Jefferson Spatchcock is in the house. Good to see you, good sir. Thanks so much for being here. And one of my main men, that dude is legend right there. Cygnus TSP, member of the Godless Army. Thanks so much for being here. Scott, yep, this is the event. Scott, this is the event of the decade. I'd say it's up there. It definitely is. Not a Johnny O tune. Something else I found on Epidemic Sound, which really I thought really worked. That's a good question. Scott Duke says, Jefferson Spatchcock, who are you rooting for? I'm kind of curious myself. Bellywood, good to see you, member of the Godless Army. Gaming Atheist says, I love Lamp. Fantastic. Gaming. Are you just looking at the room saying you love things? So thank you so much, Gaming Atheist, for being here. Cygnus TSP says, how many times will Tour start screaming and have to try and compose himself? It's going to be fun. I don't know how this is going to play out, but it should be entertaining. Xenomorph is here. Xenomorph42 says, I can't wait. Give him hell, Dave. Absolutely. Kia No says, you mean music now? It's the end of all things. Nicholas Johansson. Good to see you, Kia. Thanks so much for being here. Yes, Cygnus TSP. Aaron Raw is down there. He went down there live. Homer82 says, hey, Jail, greetings from Chile, Australia. Wow, all the way to Australia. Thanks so much, bud. I hope you enjoy the show. PJC Ned is here, says, hey, good to see you, PJ. Fenton Mully, member of the Godless Army, says, yay, hello, heathens. Good to see you, bud. Pseudo Bambi is here, says, love that you're covering this. Thank you. My pleasure, Pseudo. Peter Flamberg is here, says, hey, JL, you handsome devil. Thank you very much, good sir. I do appreciate you being here, Peter. And Jefferson Spatchcock. Oh, absolutely, my good friend. Jefferson Spatchcock, hell yes. Baked Alaska is here, says, hey, JL, good vibes. Thank you so much, Baked. Do appreciate it. Blue is here. Says, I managed to make it to Catch Hall in Houston. The auditorium just opened up. Fan-free. So not only are we going to show the debate here, but we have somebody in the live chat, Blue, who is a member of the Godless Army as well. Thank you so much for all that support, who is there live currently. So that's very cool. So we have correspondents on the ground. Yes, we do. Scott Duke says, Bridge the Divide, that's a mighty fierce beard you're sporting there. Thank you very much. I do appreciate my beard. And it's gotten to the point where my wife just wants me to keep it. You know, she loves it. And I think it's slowly getting into the awesome phase, like the awesome stage, because you start growing a beard and it's like, and then it gets to a point where it's like, it starts curling and everything is because it's not heavy enough, not long enough to like sit down, but eventually it gets into like the Gandalf stage. And then it's just amazing. Weeby says, so if we watch it with you, we don't give Tour another view. You are absolutely correct. If you watch it here, you don't give, because this is being debuted on Tour's channel. So you are correct. If you watch it here with me, you won't be adding any views to Tour's channel. Absolutely. My pleasure, Blue. Absolutely. So the big thing on this one is that this is being live streamed. There was actually a website, which was tourversusfarina.com. And it was set up by, jesusinscience.org is the website that put it up, that actually created that. And so, I'll need a wizard hat to go. I will need a wizard hat and a staff. Yes. Oh, you wouldn't part an old man from his walking stick. Yeah, so I was hanging out in the live chat a little bit before I kicked this whole thing off. It's really entertaining over there. There's a lot of really heated theists over there who were just like, Dave is an idiot. Dave doesn't know what he's talking about. So, Jefferson Bachelor says, remember to like this video. Might as well do it now. Thank you so much, Jefferson. I do appreciate that. Yeah, sure. Like, subscribe if you dig the channel, if you dig my content. I know I have new creative content coming up here shortly. So very, very soon. So stay tuned. And thank you all very much to all of the channel members, all the members of the Godless Army who support the channel. If you'd like to become a member of the Godless Army, the link is in the description. And it's 99 cents a month. So 99 cents a month, it gets you access to all of the cool emojis that I make for you. And of course, the channel badges, which is the expanding mind meme. So the longer you're with me, the more your mind expands. See what I did there? Let's see. Saruman, your staff is broken. Pseudo Bambi says, JL wins your book coming out. I have Dave's. I didn't write a science book, but I did write a horror, a Lovecraftian horror novella. I don't know when because it hasn't been published yet. I'm hoping to get it published soon. So maybe one day. I literally, of all the knowledge that I possess, I know very little about getting into the publishing game and dealing with editors and how to get into that, how to get a writing agent. So I have no clue. But I can guarantee you, when it is available, I will tell everybody about it. I will definitely say it's available on Amazon or something like that for 99 cents or something. I have no idea. So I'll figure it out eventually. It's a very, very difficult, place definitely a difficult field to just break into. It's crazy. Mighty Possum, the Black Dragons, is long time no see, JL. Good to see you, bud. Yep, it's been a minute. I've been extremely busy. Of course, I was out in Texas doing the behind-the-scenes tour and first look at the film project that we just got done with. All of the patrons for Week in Horror got first access to that, so that's available via patreon.com/weekinhorror. So I was out doing that. Then I'm also creating content here, not to mention running the podcast over at Week in Horror over YouTube, which, by the way, we're only like 113 away from 1,000 subs over there. So the link for that is in the description as well. So to give a little bit of backstory before this gets started, because this thing goes live in 17 minutes. For those who may not know, and thank you for being a member of the Godless Army of Black Possum. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Turing Test 2 is here as well. Also a member of the Godless Army says, best value YouTube membership. I only charge 99 cents because I think it's about all my content is really worth. It's 99 cents a month, and that's pretty much it. I figure 99 cents a month, you get like 1,000 subs, you get like 1,000 members, and like this, that's more than enough. That's like more than adequate for the work that I do. I pretty much just like the transference of information. I take the information over there, I put the information over there. I just make it readily accessible. That's pretty much all I do. Hill Hugger says, couldn't imagine a better host for this, JL. Thanks so much, Hill Hugger. I do appreciate that. Hank says, bam, I have arrived. Yes, Hank, member of the Godless Army. He has arrived. We're glad that he's here. Kino says, I'm surprised you don't move that guy in the background a tiny bit each video, waiting when people will notice. I've thought about it. I have. The problem is that the way he's designed is he's not really articulatable, because all of the limbs, when they go in on a turn and they turn and they lock down. So in order to do that, I have to unlock each limb and then turn it. And so it's really stiff. And the head is actually fixed to the shoulders. The head doesn't actually turn. Now the mask comes off. The mask entirely comes off and the whole face is there and everything. But as far as like movement goes, only the chain around his neck, the mask, and the shirt really move. Everything else is fixed to the actual body. Mighty Paw says, don't sell yourself short. You do so much work for the content you make for us. Thank you so much, but I appreciate that. And Hank says, Dave versus Tour, this ought to be a bloodbath, and I have brought my apron. Hell fucking yes. Just move closer a tiny bit. No need to teach. Oh, that would be good, Kino. Thank you. Repo Sandman's here says, Repo Sandman is in the house, says, I loathe the Discovery Institute. Absolutely loathe them too. So a little bit of backstory on this. So obviously, for those who are fans of Professor Dave Explains, for fans of his channel, Professor Dave and James Tour had this back and forth with their career, where they're basically making content and shitting on each other. Well, technically, Dave was shitting on Tour, and Tour was attempting to shit on Dave and embarrassing himself in the interim. If you've watched that back and forth, it's been hilarious, because Dave always makes not only informative content but also hilarious content, and it eventually culminated in this debate that we are going to see tonight. To go to the website, and I found out that you could submit a question. You could submit a question to the website, And as a matter of fact, if you want to submit a question, because I don't know if mine will get in there, but there's the link. There's the link to the website. You can submit your questions there if you want. Maybe your question will get in the Q&A. I have no idea. I submitted a question. My question was for Dr. Tours is if you believe that abiogenesis and a God concept are mutually exclusive, do you believe that they are mutually exclusive? And if so, can you show the logical contradiction there? I'm hoping I hope it gets read. I really do. Chaz Series is here. Good to see you. Says, I know Dave will crush him. I just hope James doesn't manage to disperse enough baffle gab so that his listeners can read it the other way. Agreed. JG says, I wonder if Tor will use the argument from ignorance. I have no doubt he will. Repo Sam says, guys, this stuff is just too complex, so it must have been designed. I'm not saying it was God. Pretty much the Disco Institute Kurzgesagt. Beautiful. So I went to the website, and it kind of gives a little bit of information there. So it says, going in, it says, join us for an exciting debate between Dr. James Tour and Dave Farina on the science of abiogenesis. This in-person event will take place on Friday, May 19th at 7 p.m. in Keck Hall 100, Houston, Texas. Will be streamed live on YouTube via James Tour's channel, which is where I'm streaming it from. Dr. James Tour is a world-renowned scientist and professor of chemistry at Rice University. He will be presenting evidence that he believes demonstrate huge problems and hype in the origin of life field. Dave Farina is a prominent atheist and YouTuber who will argue for the theory of abiogenesis, the idea that life arose from non-living matter through natural processes. Join us, blah, blah, blah. So you notice, given that this was JesusandScience.org, that they did not give Dave the credit that Dave deserves, as Dave also teaches chemistry. So because Dave doesn't have his doctorate, they're not going to throw this. So they pretty much watered down Dave's credentials and they hyped up Tour's credentials. Because Tour does not work because it says he's a world-renowned scientist and professor of chemistry, but he does not work in the areas of chemistry that deal with origin of life studies, like stuff that was dealt with at the Human Genome Project under what's his name? Oh, dang it, blah, 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 blah. Son of a bitch. That Christian that I always cite. Son of a bitch, his name escapes me. Head of the Human Genome Project. Dr. Collins, Francis S. Collins. So Francis Collins, Dr. Francis Collins, who was one of the most, an incredible scientist who reconciles that these two concepts are not mutually exclusive, because he understands and worked with the evidence for almost 2 decades straight. So, I'm kind of curious as how if Tour, that's why I asked Tour that question. Let me see here. I hope to, JG says, I hope Tour explains exactly how God did it and describes the mechanism of action. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear not only the claim that God did it, but the mechanism by which it did this. Because that's Collins's position. Collins's position is that abiogenesis and evolution are the mechanisms by which his God created and diversified life on the planet, which is consistent with the evidence. That's an internally consistent position. So it's intellectually honest to the degree that he's just saying that the God exists. But then again, he doesn't claim there's evidence for the God. He actually stated in his book, The Language of God, that you cannot get to God with reason and logic, that it requires faith. So he acknowledges this is a faith claim completely. No evidence is a faith claim, but this is the truth and this is what the evidence is. So we must reconcile the two as Christians. Therefore, this must be the mechanism by which this God did this, which is pretty much the most intellectually honest position you can take. I have to agree, which is probably why Collins was Hitchens' favorite theist to talk to. Let's see. Kino says, Tour is like ChatGPT you order from Wish. The Wish ChatGPT, that's hilarious. Blender Stuff says, I wonder if old Jimmy is going to make another series screaming at Dave from his chair for this debate. This should be hilarious. I'm also looking forward to Tour's reaction. Blender Stuff, and thanks so much for being here. Repo Sandman says, someone said FTFE is going to debate Moral Bob. Bring the fire extinguisher or the accelerant, however you want it to be. Gaming Atheist says, God created everything from nothing, then man from dust, then woman from said man's rib. Did God come from nothing too, or LOL? Collins, thank you very much, Hank. Yeah, it was Francis Collins. Hillhugger says, well, to be fair, Tour needs all the help he can get. He absolutely does. He absolutely does. Feel Free Super is here, says Dave beats down James Tour, which would probably be the new title of this. Adam Strange says, when is the debate? The debate goes live in 9 minutes. 9 minutes. So I just want to kind of give like a backstory of what was going on with James Tour and with Professor Dave and how this thing built to this point. And eventually they agreed to a debate down at Rice University, which is technically his home field advantage for Tour because Tour is a professor there. Let me see here. Baked Alaska says, even though he speaks at the Discovery conferences, Tour doesn't argue for intelligent design. He also admits that abiogenesis may one day be explained fully through naturalistic processes. We'll see if he brings it up. He may kind of take he may hedge his position and be kind of like, well, we don't really know, and kind of slide towards the middle ground between his position and Dave's position. It's entirely possible that the whole thing is hyped up because it's supposed to be this creationism versus abiogenesis debate. And then ultimately, in order to not be a laughingstock and not get caught making claims that he has no evidence for, Tour may just, slide over to the middle position and just be kind of like, oh, well, there's some things we don't know, but we could rationally hypothesize that this could be it. But, they're just hypotheses, and basically throw his hands up, and Dave will just walk away. And he'll hope most likely that Dave's his natural acerbic nature will make Dave look bad, and people will walk away thinking, well, at least Tour kept himself composed. It's entirely, but we have no idea how this is going to play out. No idea. JG says, if the universe that their God created doesn't look like this universe, then that is not a problem for the science. Agreed. Blender Stuff says, I'm hoping Dave's band Simulated Sun makes a James Tour diss track. That would be hilarious. Let me see. Oh, what's going on? Oh, he says on this channel, was that Mighty Possum? No. When is the debate? Adam Strange asked when the debate. Good to see you, Adam Strange. Thanks so much for being here. My phone fell. I caught it. Actually, time to. Oh no. Okay, Elizabeth just made a mistake. It's just a mistake. It'll clear up in a moment. Dr. Legendary is here. Hiya, BTD. Looking forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun. So, as a matter of fact, we got 7 minutes to go. So let me do this, and I'll put myself into a better position. So that's pretty much it. And I will go full screen because I can't go full screen until it goes live, so you guys can see the whole thing. Because right now I got like a little side thing going on. But yeah, so Dave versus James Tour. This is the culmination of a kind of months-long back and forth shit talk fest between these two individuals. And of course, if you don't recall, Professor Dave is the one that absolutely fucking schooled Kent Hovind. And then he schooled Kent Hovind, and then he turned around and made a mockery of Jesse Lee Peterson. So that's what Dave is doing. And I have a deep and profound respect for Dave. I love the work that he does. I've learned a great deal from him. And he's put things in a way that have been more understood, that allowed me to understand them better. Concepts that I had kind of a kind of like surface understanding of, and he has improved my understanding so much by watching his content. So I'm seriously looking forward to it. Let's see. That seems like a very favorable question. Is that the debate question? Yes. Well, the debate question is, see, this is what's interesting, because the thumbnail says, are we clueless about the origin of life? But the debate itself, the way it's listed on the website is, so join us for a lively debate. It says, are we clueless about the origin of life? Join us for a lively debate on abiogenesis. Abiogenesis is the scientific theory that proposes life on Earth. So they're incorrect on that, because this comes directly from jesusinscience.org. They say abiogenesis is a scientific theory. It is not. It is a scientific hypothesis. It is an educated guess based upon the culmination of all the evidence. And doesn't make the assumption that there's anything there that's not there. Like, we don't assume there needs to be an intelligence because we can view aspects of abiogenesis occurring naturally. So, for example, the idea that abiogenesis is this massive jigsaw puzzle, and we have some good sections of the puzzle filled in, but we don't have all the places filled. But slowly but surely, we're filling those places in, and we'll figure it out eventually. Spooky Bed Hair, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Repo Sandman says, that the debate question? Yeah, which is interesting because at the website, they say, let me see here, discussion. So join us for an exciting debate on the science of abiogenesis. So the question really is this about whether or not abiogenesis are true, or whether or not the science is sound? So I'm kind of curious about that because it's a little vague. The website is vague. The website makes one mistake and calls abiogenesis a theory, a scientific theory. And then in turn to that, it says it's not really about whether or not abiogenesis is true. I think it presents it as kind of like, is the science sound? But then again, are we clueless about the origin of life? Kind of fits that. I hate vagaries like this. I hate it. You know, I prefer ease like that. So like, is abiogenesis a justified conclusion? You know, that's a good one. Is it justified? Yes. Or is abiogenesis mutually exclusive with, or abiogenesis and God mutually exclusive? Questions that are yes or no, so we can get a legitimate, so we don't get this blending in the middle, this very MDD style bullshit, which I don't like and don't appreciate. Let me see here. Feel free to. The only issue with Dave is he gets annoyed way too easy. He needs to stay calm. Watching his other debates, he gets mad at it. He does. He does get irritated when the other. He has a lot of pet peeves, the same as I do. I have pet peeves as well. He has a pet peeve for definitely for willful ignorance and for deliberate shenanigans, like Farva style shenanigans, the sad and tragic ones. He really doesn't like that shit. So we'll have to see what happens. Blender Related says, Blender Stuff says, unrelated, but I hope to grow a beard one day as magnificent as yours, JL. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. You can do it. Just keep at it. In other words, don't keep at it. Just let it go. Let it go. You know, Dark Matter, good to see you. So glad to catch a stream of this that isn't on James Tour's channel. Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Definitely. Reaper Sam says, Dave Weiss, don't forget Darth. Right. Fenton Mully says, I can't wait to hear Aaron's snarky question. I can't wait to hear Aaron's questions as well. Jefferson Sebastian says, when did Dave talk to JLP? I need to see that. Dave, oh, that was on YouTube. Give me 1 second. Professor Dave and Jesse Lee Peterson, and that was on MDD, and that was race, gender, and Trump debate. So Jefferson Spatchcock, I will give this to you here. I'll give you this link so you can save it later. There we go. That is the, there's the link for it. I went and pulled it up for you, Jefferson. Let me see here. Hank says, if Tour does try and roll back his position, I trust Dave will remind the audience just how unhinged a used God salesman is. Absolutely. John Byrne, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Zach Oodle is, or Oedel or something. I was just like, Zach, good to see you. Zach says, hi, everyone. Stoked to watch on a better channel, The Tours. Thank you very much, Zach. It's my pleasure to present it to you. Spooky Bear says, howdy, Bridge the Vibe. Good to see you, Spooky. Hillhugger says, as an ecologist, I fully endorse Dave's current content on ecology, short but accurate. Awesome. He does fantastic work. Really well-researched stuff. Blender Stuff says, I heard James converted to Christianity. I wonder what caused him to go down that route. Likely fear or, you know, whatever. Caliban says, hey, JL, good to see you. Caliban, member of the Godless Army. Appreciate you being here. Colin, definitely not Cromwell's in the house. Good evening, everyone. Bridge the Divide. Love the horror channel. Get that monetized. We're close. We're like 113, 112 people away, maybe 110 people away from getting Week in Horror monetized or getting it to 1,000 subs. I want to break that before the end of season 4. I really, really do. We're so close. Little more than 100 subs to get Week in Horror to 1,000. So slowly but surely. Linda at Speed, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Jay versus well, thank you so much for being here. So I've been seeing a lot of scientists are stumped by headlines lately being applied to instances where they have a lot of explanations, but evidence can't narrow it down to one. The Gaming Atheist is broadcasting on the 75-inch now. Awesome. Fenton Mully says, liter of cola? Liter of cola. I don't want a liter of cola. I want a large farva. No, I don't want a large farva. I want a liter of cola. Gotta go for it here. Just here to confirm jail has pet peeves. Hell yes, I do. Gotta go for it. Good to see you, bud. Let me see who else. J. Dave is justified to get annoyed when you have people like James insulting him. He absolutely is. Absolutely is. Let me see here. Doctor, you're my pleasure, Jefferson. Not a problem. And let me scratch this. Oh, Kia says, as someone from outside the U.S., what's Rice University? Is it some normal university or some highly religious one? Rice University, to describe it, it is a private university in Houston, Texas, a private research university in Houston, Texas. That's right over across from Texas Medical Center. And I do believe, as it's private, natural sciences, engineering, social sciences, School of Architecture, the 20s, blah, blah, blah. think because it's a private university, it may have some religious background, but not as much as like SMU, not as much as like the Southern Methodist University. Southern Methodist University up in Dallas is super religious. So, hi, Sai is here. Good to see you. Good to see you, Bree. Thanks so much for hanging out. Ryan Donovan as well. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. A large farina. I want a large farina. I want a large farina. Get back, girl. I want a large farina. She's better with the last name than 90% of people, including some of my family. Well done. My pleasure, Zach. I apologize. I saw that. I try to go quick. I'm trying to go quick, so I'll make sure I don't miss anybody. Rice is a good school. Rice does have an excellent reputation. So it looks like we got. Let me see here. Let me double check this. Oh, I think we may be. There we go. Let me close that. And let's hide this. And let's go big screen. That looks good. JesusInScience.org. John Burns says, as for publishing a book, ask Ivy Winsong, Colin. She's had books published. By the way, I'm a bit behind as I got onto the video a bit late. Thank you, John Burns, I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Ryan, absolutely, Ryan. But thank you, John. I will, if I can get in touch with Ivy Winsong Collins, see what they can say, because it's pretty much just a novella. It's pretty simple. It's not that long, just a collection of short stories that I wrote over the course of a year. So, and I've done a lot of revision and improving the, just basically, editing on it. But I do need someone from an objective position to take a look at it. To take like a legit editor to look at it. And, is this viable? Mr. E-Man is here. Good to see you, Mr. E-Man. Says greetings to one and all. Thanks so much for being here, bud. And Anna as well. Both members of the Godless Army. Appreciate you being here. All right. So we got we got half an hour, 27 minutes. Hey, Thor Rasmussen, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Looks like we got 27 minutes, 25 seconds. It was 27, half an hour? They said this thing started at 6:30. They lied to me. Gurmania, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Hopefully, if enough people are interested, we can unlock the next emoji, the next custom emoji I've made for everybody, which is Evidence Ape, the Evidence Ape emoji. Hopefully, we can unlock that tonight. That would be really, really cool if we do. And you know what? I got to pull up my live chat so I make sure that I don't miss any of the milestone chats or the any of the milestone chats or the channel membership or like gifted memberships. Let me reduce that. Let me see here. No, that's not it. View my channel. There we go. My channel. And okay, cool. Make sure I didn't miss any. Oh, we did have a bunch of gifted memberships. Look at that. So Mr. E-Man gifted 50 Bridge the Divide memberships. Thank you so much, Mr. E-Man. You rock. Wow, 50. That is incredible, dude. Thank you so much for that support. That is amazing. You know what? Let me check something. Let's check something out. Thank you so much, Mr. E-Man. You're just the most. You're so generous. You rock, dude. Let's go here. Let's customize these. Let's go here. Yes. We got it. You guys officially unlocked the next emoji. Thank you, Mr. E-Man. You unlocked the next emoji. Let me grab the file. And where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is. Thank you so much, Mr. E-Man. Thanks to Mr. E-Man's incredible generosity, we have unlocked the next emoji, which is Evidence Ape. So yeah, so I just added the file. I literally just added the file. So all of you channel members now have access to the evidence ape emoji, and please enjoy that. Not to mention all the other cool emojis I've made for you, like Hail Sagan and the special Greg Locke one. Let me see. Charlie Welch is here. Good to see you, Charlie Welch, member of the Godless Army. Also the only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie. Super J Live is here with the Hail Sagans. Good to see you, Super J Live, member of the Godless Army. Appreciate you being here. Underground News is here. Good to see you. So many emojis. And I try to do the custom ones because, I try to make fun ones. Mr. E-Man is incredibly generous. Thank you so very much. That was absolutely amazing. You rock. WEB says only 20 people watching won't get membership from that. LOL. That was amazing. I think the other 20 are probably already members. Not to mention, I think if it fills up, then it actually goes to people who are subscribed but not currently live. So they don't have to technically be. If everybody is a member, they don't technically need to be in here to get a membership. See, Metagara is here. Good to see you. Says I'm here too, but I'm not cool. Good to see you, Metagara. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I think this is going to be fun. We got 20 minutes, a little more than 20 minutes to go. So this is the perfect opportunity to grab a snack, grab something to drink. I've got my Go Juice here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Just checking something out there. Thank you, Thor. Yes, be sure to smash that like button. Smash that like button. Helps support the channel. I do appreciate it, everybody. Thank you, Mr. E-Man, for all the obligatory ghosts. You rock, dude. So generous, man. You rule. And of course, if anybody is inclined to super chat, it's not required like that. But if anybody does want to super chat, I will star those super chats, and then we can address them at appropriate times. So I'll try to pick them up at the end of the show, so that when I have time to pay attention, I don't want to be rushed in answering questions or anything like that. Yes, John, go get yourself an Irish coffee. Have one for me. Make it a double. Bonnie Possum, the Black Dress says, I can confirm that you get a subscription even if you're not currently watching. I've had it happen to me and a few channels didn't know until I saw the email. Yep. It happened to Irish Demon once. Like, Irish Demon got one time, and he had no clue. I hope you like the Evident Ape, it wouldn't let me put evidence. I had to shorten it. So I hope you like the Evident Ape. So when someone's asking for evidence, or so someone makes a claim, Ape wants evidence. It absolutely does. I think I saw Mighty Possum in here. Hell yes. Oh, we got some. Let me see what we got here. Oh, cool. Got a membership milestone chat. Arian Rod has been a member of the Godless Army for 16 months. Thank you so much, Arian Rod. You rock. We do appreciate that. And going back, let me see here. NA gifted 20 Bridge the Divide memberships. Thank you so much, NA. You rule, dude. Thank you. So generous tonight. We have so many generous people tonight. You all rock so much, man. Yeah, this community is so fucking amazing. God, I love you guys. You guys rule. Hey, Welsh News Network, doing a drive-by hello. Good to see you, Welsh. Thanks so much for being here, buddy. I appreciate that. WEB has come to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, WEB. Please enjoy all the cool emojis I've made for you, and of course, all of the channel badge, which is the expanding mind meme. So please enjoy that. Welsh News Network, member of the Godless Army. Welsh News Network has been a member of the Godless Army for 3 months. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. Wilberforce brings up, we're not started yet, so I will be able to read super chats now, but once it gets going, I'm going to put things to the back burner. Let me see here. Oh, wow. Okay. Check this out. StreamYard now automatically stars super chats and new members, so I don't have to do it. I just have to go to the star deal and pick it up. Auto star super chats. That's fucking great. See, StreamYard's getting better. Whatever Johnny is playing with over there, come back to StreamYard, bud. Come on back to StreamYard. Richard Meter says, does Tour know how many amino acids have literally been found in space? We shall see. I'm very curious And thank you very much, Wilberforce, for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate that. All the super chats go to support what I do here. And of course, is also, if you'd like to support over at the PayPal, that link is in the description as well, because, YouTube takes more out, but it's totally up to you. No requirements. Some people just like to make sure that, what they give goes, as much goes to where they want it to go. John Burns says, Bridge Divide. A great person to talk about publishing a book is Ivy Winsong Collins, as she's a published author. Awesome. Thank you, John Burns. Yes, I appreciate that, John. Gurmania says, props to Spooky Bedhair, because even though I'm subbed to Bridge the Divide, I didn't know this was going. Spooky DM me the link, so thanks, Spooky. Awesome. Thank you, Spooky. You rule. Jason T, member of the Godless Army, says, I'm both late and early. Nice. Thank you, Jason T. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, look at that. Super J Live has been a member of the Godless Army for 2 months. Thank you so much, Super J. You rule. So you gotta have that up so I can get the one thing that StreamYard hasn't done yet is ensure that we can see the milestone, chats. That doesn't pop up yet. Super chats do, and super stickers do, but in order to see the sticker, I have to go to the live chat. I have to go to the actual live chat, but they do let us see when they don't let us see when membership milestone chats. They don't pop those up yet. Hopefully soon. Hive Size says, what even is life anyway? Bree, that is a damn good question, because it is a complicated question. Just because I can do this and do that, and think about just because, whatever, those are not, that does not indicate life in and of itself. So it's an extremely complicated question that a number of fields have kind of like laid into, because every time we look, we keep looking and we keep finding different aspects of, I would say, the animal, like the animal kingdom or the environment or the universe, whatever, that blur the line between what is alive, or what is living or life, and what is not life. Viruses were one of the first that I ever learned about, was that viruses kind of like hang out in that gray area. They're not dead, not technically alive. So very odd. It's a very complicated question. It certainly is not simple. Colin Definite Cromwell for $5. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, if you pick the wings off a fly, would it then be called a walk? Very cute. Very cute. No, it's true. Kino is correct. It would be called animal cruelty. It absolutely would. Kino says, I wonder if it will actually start in 18 minutes or will it just be another counter. It's just a fucking like Russian nesting doll of counters, just like let's see. Gaming says you have to be dead inside to be alive. Let me see here. So like what is life? Like the definition of life. Definitionally, what does it have? Definition of life is the basic definition. The condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. The existence of an individual human being or animal. So then that's kind of like the definition. Then over at Wikipedia, it says life is a quality that distinguishes matter that has biological process, such as signaling and self-sustaining processes, from matter that does not, and is defined by the capacity for growth, reaction to stimuli, metabolism, energy transformation, and reproduction. That is a really in-depth, that is a really in-depth answer, or a really in-depth description. Let me see here. Let's look. What does the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy state? Open a textbook in biology, and you'll find a purported definition of life, usually in the form of a list of characteristics that apply to organisms, their parts, their interactions, or their history. Often these definitions will be nothing more than descriptions or rely on more controversial theoretical commitments. And by that, they mean just like educated guesses, so like hypothetical commitments. It is difficult, like many basic concepts, it is difficult to non-controversially define life. Most people simply avoid the issue by ignoring marginal cases, accepting the vagueness of the boundary cases, or setting aside the whole issue as beyond their scope. Nonetheless, there are many people whose work seems to require a rigorous demarcation of life, especially in new scientific contexts such as astrobiology, origins of life, or synthetic biology. As such, the nature of life continues to be a hotly debated topic. So, yeah. The character, like definitions of life. So, like, there's a bunch. So, yeah, if you want to really dive into that, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead, because that's a really good question. That is an excellent question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this. That is the link to the SEP's entry on life itself, its definitions. So basically, it breaks it down. Definitions from antiquity to Darwin, contemporary definitions, definitional skepticism, artificial and synthetic life, origin of life, search for life, the macro and micro perspectives, ethics, law, and politics. They go into it big time. So, but remember, the SEP is like stereo instructions. So, yeah. Thank you, Jefferson Spatchcock. Spatchcock says he'll be back at 15. Like and subscribe, folks. Thank you so much, Jefferson. We do appreciate that. Wilbur 4 says the counters. Tour is buying time to get his lies and gish gallops coordinated with his straw man. Likely. Mr. Colby, too, is here. Good to see you, Mr. Colby. Says dumpster fire prediction. I hope it doesn't. This isn't MDD. So, and yes, you're right. NA, thank you so much for the super chat. For $6.66, Freedom Dollar says life finds a way. It does. It does. Life finds a way. It does. It absolutely does. My Jeff Goldblum is terrible. So please don't judge me on that. I'm admitting it's god awful. Arian Rod says, Bridge the Divide. Is Tour really a doctor, or do you just sleep at a Holiday Inn Express? Very funny. I remember those commercials. So let's look at this. Dr. James Tour. Dr. James Tour. Let's play like that. So Dr. James Tour, born in 1959, is an American chemist and nanotechnologist. He is a professor of chemistry, professor of material science and nanoengineering, and professor of computer science at Rice University in Houston, Texas. So that explains that kind of explains the logic proponent of a lot of what he says. Because if he deals with computer science, he's going to deal with programming languages, which are languages of logic and mathematics. So I get how he's trying to logically jump to things in a linear mathematical sense, or in a programming sense, like a programming language. I can get why he crosses those, why that's his Venn diagram. I understand that. So he's combining these two fields. Tour is a top researcher in his field, having an H index of 165 with total citations index over 125,000, was listed as an ISI highly cited researcher in those fields. Yes, but he is not cited on abiogenesis or origin of life field. This not predominantly what he works in. But he is a doctor. He received degrees from Syracuse University in 1981. He received his Bachelor's of Science in 1981 from Syracuse. He received his PhD in 1986 from Purdue, and he completed his postdoctoral work at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, 86 to 87, and Stanford University, 87 to 88. So he's bounced around a bit. So yes, his credentials are legit. They absolutely are. Make sure I didn't miss any milestone chats. Great. Awesome. Cool. Kino says, so he is hosting the debate at his university. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, I'm not surprised either that this is here. So according to Aza's here, says, hey, me lovelies. Good to see you, Aza. Thanks so much for being here. Scott Duke says, what Bridge the Divide? What's your position on intelligent life on other planets and your position on the Fermi paradox? So, two things. One, my position of intelligent life on other planets. I hold to the position that the mathematics of the universe virtually guarantee that we are not alone. But those same mathematics also virtually guarantee that we will never encounter them. So that's what I hold to. Now, if you want to look at it from he was kind of paraphrased in, Contact, Carl Sagan's position on this is that if you look at the sheer numbers of the universe, and you go the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, then there could be millions of civilizations out there. But because of the sheer mathematics of the universe, we'll never get there until we conquer either physics, or we conquer our own biology. That's the problem. So we either conquer physics or conquer our biology. Otherwise, we are here on this planet. All right. So that's that. Now, when it comes to my position on the Fermi paradox, no, that's the Drake equation. Let me make sure. So the discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the apparently high a priori likelihood of its existence. So I think the mathematics answers that. Is that the reason we haven't found them is because of the mathematics. Like I said, the mathematics. So I think I kind of answered the question. I answered the question with the first point, Scott. I think I did. Colin definitely problem. The fucking madness of life. Absolutely. God, I fucking love that video. According to says, cool. We can watch it live then? I didn't realize that. Absolutely. I'm going to host it live here. Answers and Atheism is here. Good to see you. Answers says, what is this madness? Madness. Good to see you, but this is science. Good to see you. Answers, thanks so much for being here. Jayverse says Fermi paradox needs to be thrown out. Yeah, exactly my understanding. Absolutely is the way I go after it. Tell us Gurmady says, tell us a joke if you have one while we're killing time. Okay, I can do that. Once upon a time, there was a little old man who lived in a nursing home, and he was a little bit senile. Now, being a little bit senile and living in a nursing home, one day he decided to let himself hang out. But he was a little bit senile, so the staff kind of saw this. They let him get away with this and so he would walk around letting himself hang out until one day a little senile old lady came and approached the little senile old man. She saw him let himself hang out, and she asked him, may I hold it? And being a little bit senile, he said, sure. So the little senile old lady would spend her days holding the little senile old man, and the staff thought this was hilarious, until one day the little senile old lady approached the little senile old man and saw another little old lady holding him. Well, this simply would not do. But being a lady of class, she decided to hold back and wait for the other little old lady to get up and go to the restroom. And the little senile lady approaches the little senile old man, and she asks him, I don't understand. You used to let me hold you, but now you let her hold you? I don't understand. What does she have that I don't have? And the little senile old man looked up at her and said, Parkinson's. So I hope you enjoyed that. Cromwell, he hasn't said this multiple times. I love that joke because it was actually the last joke my dad ever told me. The last joke my dad ever told me before he passed away. So yes, steal it, run with it, keep that joke alive. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my absolute favorites. Fred Knotts has been a member of the Godless Army for 5 months. Thank you so much, Fred. I do appreciate that. You rock. Yes, Mr. E-Man in his generosity. 50 memberships, and NANA in his generosity, 20 memberships. You guys fucking rule. We love y'all. JD says an intellectual is anyone who can spot bullshit that is mixed in a pile of horseshit that is also mixed in a pile of dog shit. Dr. Lynch says, while I agree that we are very unlikely to ever encounter alien life, eventually the cumulative fragmentary evidence will make its existence almost unquestionable. Agreed. Fred Knotts, good to see you, bud. Dark Canuck, good to see you. Thanks so much. Please enjoy all of the amazing gifted memberships that you have received. We have some extremely generous and wonderful people in the chat tonight. All of you rule. And remember, any live chat, once the debate gets started, any super chats that happen to come in, they will be automatically starred, and we'll address them when I have time to actually look at them. So let's see. Colin Devlin Cromwell says, if there was a midget that could talk to the dead, small, medium, and large. I've heard that, yeah. Colin, you're fired. Marcus Dresden is here. Godless Army. Thank you so much. This is the Godless Army is at your service, Bridge the Divide. I appreciate that. According to Asa, I saw that your channel got demonetized. That sucks. Yeah, YouTube is, becoming a pain in the ass. Okay. This sounds so weird. I never do this, but put a 1 in the chat if you guys are familiar with the channel Z Frank. With the guy who does true facts about the, whatever. If you're familiar with Z Frank, put a 1 in the chat. Because I love that channel. I've been subscribed to him for years because the way that this is how the birds do. So I fucking love that dude. And yes, look at those coming in. Yes, Z Frank. It's Z-E Frank. So he does amazingly hilarious content. And he's thinking about leaving YouTube because the way the new when the YouTube's about to get a new CEO, that CEO coming in is going to shake shit up and make things and prioritize like short form stuff to compete with TikTok, which may damage us creators' ability to actually have a livelihood because it's going to basically change how the platform functions, turning YouTube into essentially another TikTok. So we don't know. So he's legitimately thinking about. So Frank is legitimately thinking about leaving YouTube to go to another platform. So it's crazy. A lot of one thing. Yeah, if you have not checked out Zafrank, go check out Zafrank. He is fucking hilarious. No, Jerry, that's not what I was talking. No, you can't say that. Tinker Phil is here. Good to see you, Tinker Phil. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Anacito Maldonado, you rock. Another member of the Godless Army. Thanks so much for hanging out. And Aza, I hope that you get that sorted out very, very soon. I hope that it gets sorted out for you quick and you get remonetized. So fingers crossed. Gears Garage is here. Good to see you, Gears Garage. I've never been monitored. Good to see you, Gears Garage. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. I also actively avoid shorts. They're just not worth the time. Wilberforce says, the Frank is the shit. Slime molds, dude. Fuck, that shit was fucking crazy. Oh, I hear background stuff. It looks pretty. Yeah, we're about to go live. Jay versus figures now that I start editing my videos. The Puffin's got some stuffing for your Puffin Muffin. Pinworm is here, member of the Godless Army. Hey, Pinworm says hi. I've been looking forward to this. Thank you so much, Pinworm, for hanging out. Nitty is here. It says the only live chat I can stomach on this issue was yours. Thank you, Nitty. I do appreciate it. I'm glad everybody's able to here to hang out. Best in Show. Good to see you, Best in Show. Says the knob is a funny joke. True. Very true. Looks like we got 3 minutes before we're about to start. Awesome. Get your smokes, get your drinks, get your snack on. And we're gonna take a look at this. And I'm gonna keep an eye on who did that. Let me see that. Yeah, Mr. E-Man. Mr. E-Man with that amazing 50 gifted memberships. Big round of applause for Mr. E-Man for his generosity and NANA for their incredible generosity in gifting memberships. You guys absolutely fucking rule. It is the creative support and just overall general support of everybody in this community that makes all this worth it. You guys rock. And what's most of all, it's not just that you're all willing to support us and hang out with us, it's that y'all are patient. Y'all are patient and you allow us to do the work that we need to do in order to bring content to you, because sometimes there are gaps. Sometimes, like literally right now, it is so fucking hard to find new content that is interesting to bring to y'all, because right now, like there's so little content out there. I'm now starting to see some of the bigger channels like Godless Engineer, The Skeptic, and a few others now covering videos that I covered 6 months, like 6 months, a year ago. There's like a drought of it because the vast majority of the content that we covered is now over on like TikTok. They're all these stupid little shorts. But we like long form content. Those little shorts are fucking annoying, you know? So it's just been, it's becoming harder. So I have the next one I have coming out is more Carthiest questions. And then I have a 2-parter about Eric Hovind coming up. So I hope you do enjoy that. And then I have something else after that as well. So I have stuff queued up. It just takes time. And I appreciate that y'all understand that we have lives outside of this and we have IRL stuff going on. Your patience is what really makes us worth it, because we know that you guys are going to be there, you guys are going to be there to support us, and you allow us that time to do that work, make sure we bring you the best content. You fucking rock. Charlie Welch, you support me like a well-worn Speedo, man. It just fits right in there. It really does. Charlie Welch is amazing. Been like a long-time supporter of the channel. He fucking rules. Jack-o'-lantern is here. Good to see you. Jack-o'-lantern says, here's to swimming with bow-legged women. Fucking A. Hell yes. Good to see you, Jack-o'-lantern. Grim Skeptic is here. Says, I hope Dave rips this shit stick apart like he did Kent. Fuck yes. I hope he does. Dipshit. I like shit stick, dipshit. I like it. Thank you very much, Wilberforce. I do appreciate that. You rock. Yes, if you get an opportunity you haven't checked out According to Aza, pop over to her channel. She's got the link right there in the live chat. 1 minute warning bell. Fucking A. Here we go. Hive size. Bree says, I will bring Bad Apologetics Weekly live from the Hive. Just saying. Very cool. Awesome. Fenton Mully says, wow, Tor posted 300 pages of him and Dave's emails setting up the debate, and it's hilarious. It's just going to be funny. Skeptic Scissor says, take your time. Thank you so much. Do appreciate that. Ryan Donovan, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Wilberforce says, shorts are fun while I poo. But that's about it. That's right. They make good reading material or a good listening material when you're on the can. Can I take? Colin says, can I take back Irish Demons donation? All right. Here we go. All right, I'm going to mute up, and I'll only pop in if there's a moment. So, and I will star messages that I want to reply to. Make sure Tor knows.
Rooms are located in the main building just around this way, down into the door right.
Sorry about that.
This building.
Sorry about that. I had it muted.
Go in, take a right, and you'll see the restrooms very soon. In order to limit disruptions, we ask that you please silence your cell phones and mobile devices. We also ask that you please not distract anybody up front with any kind of photography, videography, flash photography especially. This event is being live streamed, and the video will be available for free after the event as well, so there really shouldn't be any need for pictures or videos. We also ask that unless you need to step out, that you do not stand up, because that would be pretty distracting as well for the live stream. We would like to thank Rice Events and those helping with the live stream and sound for making this event possible tonight. We would also like to give a special thank you to Mr. Farina for being here and giving his time this evening, being willing to visit Rice University for this debate. Now, the moderator for tonight's debate will be Professor Wayne Guida. He is a professor in the Department of Chemistry at the University of South Florida in Tampa, and a collaborating member in the Molecular Medicine Program at the H. Lee Moffitt Cancer Center and Research Institute at the University of South Florida. Professor Guida has also served as president and CEO of Schrödinger Incorporated. He was the executive director of chemical technologies at the Novartis Institute for Biomedical Research, formerly known as Ciba Geigy Pharmaceuticals. There, he supervised a group of scientists engaged in molecular modeling, protein X-ray crystallography, protein NMR spectroscopy, protein biochemistry, high-throughput screening, analytical chemistry, and organic synthesis scale-up. Professor Guida's current research interest involves the design of STING modulators, that stands for Stimulator of Interferon Genes, for the treatment of cancer, autoimmune disease, and anti-infectives. Please join me in welcoming the moderator, Professor Wayne Guida.
I want to see if we can find Aaron in the
Alex, for the
audience.
It's a real pleasure to be here tonight. I'm glad that Dr. Tour asked me to do this. We have an amazingly good audience here. I think just about every seat is filled. So first, let's just start off by welcoming to the stage Dr. James Tour and Mr. Dave Farina.
Dave, he rules. I was about to say, what is that rug on his head, man? When did he shoot that thing?
Okay, so both of you make sure you're at your neutral corners. To my left corner of the ring, weighing in at, no, I'm not going to do that. To my right is Mr. Dave Farina. He's a scientific communicator who hosts the YouTube channel Professor Dave Explains. To my left is none other than Dr. James Tour, who is the TT and WF Chow Professor of Chemistry right here at Rice University. Okay, give me a moment, if you will, to describe the ground rules. So the way this is going to work is Dr. Tour will have the first 10 minutes to make an opening statement. Then Mr. Farina will have another 10 minutes to make an opening statement. After that, Dr. Tour will take 2 minutes to ask a question of Mr. Farina. Mr. Farina will have 5 minutes to answer that question. And a dialogue is permitted during the answering of the questions. After that, Mr. Farina will have 2 minutes to ask Dr. Tour a question, and Dr. Tour 5 minutes to reply. And this will go back and forth like that till 8:30. we will make sure, Alex and I, that they stick to the time.
It's an
But
interesting
my role
debate
is beyond
style.
just that of a passive moderator. I mentioned the timekeeping, but in addition, if I
Clive Wells, good to
hear
see you, bud.
during the debate something that, in my opinion, is not correct chemically, I will render my opinion. But I'll wait. I won't interrupt either of the debaters. I'll wait until there's a pause. Then what will happen at 8:30 is we will end that part of the debate and we'll go into a question and answer session where members of the audience can ask questions, and I'll explain exactly how that works when we get to the 8:30 time point. So once again, let's welcome the two debaters.
I wonder where Aaron is. I wonder if we can see him.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want to do something. Got a gift for Mr. Farina. Now, I was thinking, what could I get such an amazing person? And I've got you something that I am sure you do not have. This is something called laser-induced graphene. It was a process we developed in 2013 where a laser can hit any surface that's made out of carbon, and in this case, it's paper. And the laser can write a pattern. So what you're going to look at is paper that has been converted into carbon. The carbohydrates have been converted into graphene through the laser action. And so here's what we've got for you.
Oh, that's very lovely. It's a nice gesture, thank you. Is this on? Check you. Thanks very much, James.
So I have 10 minutes for an opening statement. Mr. Farina, as my guest, welcome to Rice University.
Oh, you smoke
Unlike
fuck.
Mr. Farina, I have never been in a debate before. So if it appears that I am not a skilled debater, it's an accurate assessment. A major hurdle for the origin of life research is the origin and persistence of enantiopure molecules. The building blocks of the building blocks, as I call them. Enantiopurity means that one mirror image of a molecule prevails to the exclusion of the other. This includes 19 of the 20 amino acids, the monomeric sugars, the nucleotides, and the lipids. But for the sake of getting through, I am conceding tonight to my opponent all those small molecules in 100% enantiomeric purity. They are yours. I concede them to you for the sake of time. So let's address other issues tonight, since my concession has been granted and there's still much more ground to cover. I am here defining clueless. Oh, this has gone off. All right. Hold the time a second for me while I log back in here.
That's just funny to me.
Okay, they had to have me use this one because of the way the feeds are working. So when this logs back in. Okay, but I'll continue now, in any case. I'm here defining clueless in the context of my typical usage. Let me open up this document. Got to do it. I mean, this is just life, you know. I teach in this room, so I'm used to this. This just happens. Okay. So I'm defining clueless in the context of my typical usage. We cannot solve any of the 5 criteria needed to make a living cell. None of these can be solved. Mr. Farina has complained that I am a religious man. I'm not just religious, I'm deeply religious. Or as he puts it, I'm a, quote, super Jesus guy, unquote. While that's a label that I gladly embrace, and I believe that the Bible is God's word, I never appeal to that book of authority in my academic lectures or scientific discussions. Never, unless specifically asked about my religious convictions, like in a church or a religious podcast, I never couple those to my scientific criticisms of the origin of life research. I will not appeal to the Bible, to God, to miracles, to Jesus, to God of the gaps tonight. Often, origin of life researchers have a time of the gaps appeal, where they will say something to the effect, over millions of years, such and such happened. Those bedtime stories that are devoid of any precise chemistry may as well start with once upon a time. So I hope that my opponent will likewise not appeal to ill-defined time of the gaps arguments, and that he'll stay strictly on the scientific data.
Oh, fuck you.
As for me, I will stick to the data. The topic tonight is not about me. It's whether there is a valid hypothesis to make a living cell on a mindless early Earth. In discussing scientific data, it's not a matter of deception or lies. It is a matter of data interpretation. That happens all the time in science. It's hard to interpret the scientific literature data. And as I do with my graduate students, we learn from each other. They from me and I from them. I plan to address Mr. Farina as I would a graduate student seeking to learn from him tonight. The textbook definition for the characteristics of life is responsiveness to the environment, growth and change, ability to reproduce, having metabolism and breathe, maintaining homeostasis, and being made of cells and passing traits onto offspring. A valid hypothesis,
but is that the traits of earliest life?
Experimental evidence substantiating the proposed science. An invalid hypothesis is one in which there is no way to substantiate the proposed science. For example, my guest arrived to Houston from Los Angeles. A valid hypothesis would be that he flew to Houston on a commercial aircraft. That is a valid hypothesis because we can experimentally test the efficacy of commercial air travel. An invalid hypothesis would be that he drove here in a single molecule nanocar. Though that statement might be true, it is an invalid hypothesis since we have no experimental evidence for its validity. Nobody was present at life's origin, so we will never really know how life originated. But that's not what we're seeking to answer tonight. What we're seeking is an experimentally valid, verifiable hypothesis as to how life might have originated on an early Earth. We must see the origin of life research data, not their unsubstantiated claims, even if those claims are written in their research papers. Mr. Farina, please show us their data. Show their data. My contention remains the same. One day I presume that we will have a valid hypothesis upon which life might have originated. But as of today, we do not. And with each passing year, the cellular target
justification for creationism
becomes harder to reach due to the increased realization of its minimal complexity. A study in the Journal of Pragmatics in 2021 considered the trend of hyperbole in scientific publications. The authors Hyland and Jiang wrote, quote, "We trace the use of 400 hyping words which seek to promote, embellish, or exaggerate aspects of research papers. Our results show a massive increase in these items, and increases are most marked in the hard sciences," unquote. So while overblown statements are occurring in all fields, origin of life takes the cake. My opponent's favorite expert, Professor Lee Cronin, said in 2011 that he'd probably create life in his lab in 2 years. He did not. Another, whom he often cites, Professor Jack Sostek, then at Harvard, now at the University of Chicago, said in 2014 that he'd create life in his lab in 3 to 5 years. He did not. Professor Dimitar Seselov from Harvard University said in 2014 that life would be created in the lab in 5 years. It did not happen, not even close. Prebiotically relevant means that we are restricted to materials, procedures, and conditions that might have been available on an early Earth. These are the 5 criteria. These are the 5 criteria that have to be experimentally addressed in a prebiotically relevant manner in order to have a valid hypothesis for life's origin. We only have time for 5 tonight. Polypeptides, polynucleotides, polysaccharides, the origin of specified information, and the assembly of the above components into an integrated, functional, living system, namely a cell, not merely a random mixture of these. If my opponent is unable to supply all 5 criteria for life, then we're currently clueless on the origin of life. But since I don't think he'll be able to supply even one of the 5, it will show that we're not merely clueless, but utterly clueless. While some would like to portray me as one of the very few people that does not accept the hyped claims of origin of life researchers, I maintain that overconfident supporters of origin of life, like my opponent, are being abandoned by the origin of life research community itself. For example, Mr. Farina's own experts whom he likes to cite are now backing away from their own overblown claims. His often cited origin of life expert, Professor Jack Sostek, now says that aside from nature's construct of RNA, invoking of, quote, autocatalytic sets was never chemically realistic, unquote. Hence, the prebiotic relevance of autocatalytic sets crumbles. It's over, according to Professor Sostek. His often cited origin of life expert, Professor Donna Blackman, now acknowledges that there are no known prebiotically relevant autocatalytic reactions that greatly enhance chirality of a substrate. The increases are minor, so no need to waste our time tonight on autocatalysis. His own origin of life expert, Professor Stephen Benner, an enormous figure in this field, now says that any group of randomly synthesized RNA molecules would afford, quote, 10 million or 100 million more molecules that catalyze the destruction of RNA, unquote, than catalyze the copying of themselves. And, quote, this will never give you life, unquote. Hence, the relevance of random RNA to make copies of itself bites the dust. It's over, according to Professor Benner himself. Origin of life expert Professor James Shapiro now writes, certain questions like the origins of the first living cells currently have no credible scientific answers, unquote. Evolution kingpin, Professor Richard Dawkins now says, quote, we know little more than Darwin did about how it got started in the first place. We have no evidence bearing upon the momentous event that
memberships.
Was the start of evolution on this planet, unquote. My opponent's favorite origin of life expert, Professor Lee Cronin, now writes and says on multiple occasions that, quote, origin of life research is a scam, unquote. And, quote, there are lots of layers to the scam, unquote. A scam means a dishonest scheme or a fraud. It's beautiful. It's as if Professor Lee Cronin has been scientifically born again. Mr. Farina, I respect your courage to be here tonight. It's too bad that origin of life researchers are not here themselves to defend their own data. Maybe they know the shallowness of their own research, while the less informed cannot assess the shallowness. I'm looking forward to seeing the data with chemical specificity. That's what I will be asking of you, so I'm telling you up front. Not the overblown titles, not their outlandish claims, not the once upon a time over 1 million years stories, but the data to propose a valid hypothesis to the 5 criteria needed to build a living cell, thereby overcoming our cluelessness on origin of life. Thank you.
Mr. Farina, your opening statement.
Starting now. Hi, everyone. Thanks to Rice University for having us here tonight. We are here because of James Tour. James is a chemist and also an apologist who lies about origin of life research on the internet. It's quite the double life. In order to understand why he does this, we turn to his faith. James has admitted publicly that he is a creationist. He believes that God created life due to religious scripture, which to him takes priority over scientific evidence. From his website, faith and belief go beyond scientific evidence for this scientist. Anyone who thinks this is not relevant to the discussion is delusional, as James is openly admitting that there's no science that could ever be done that will convince him that life was not directly created by God. He is ideologically bound to denying abiogenesis. He sometimes pretends to leave room for it, as he did just now, to seem open-minded, but he isn't. He's totally dogmatic. Therefore, his opinions on origin of life research are irrelevant, as he is approaching the field not as a scientist, but as a preacher. Of course, James pretends his rhetoric is scientific. He will bring up his H-index and list of publications. Less important is the fact that he has publicly admitted that his students do all the work and he slaps his name on the papers. More important is the fact that none of his research has anything to do with origin of life whatsoever and does not qualify him in this topic, which is not strictly synthetic organic chemistry as he claims, but also astronomy, geology, physics, and lots of other areas James is clueless about. When it comes to this topic, James is a YouTuber. His embarrassing commentary takes place exclusively on YouTube or in-person events for science-illiterate Christians who share his biases and delusions. James knows that science is done through the primary scientific literature, and he knows that his inability to publish anything on this topic makes him completely irrelevant. That's why he regularly lies and pretends that he is published in this area, and his papers are ignored because of conspiracy. These papers are actually blog posts in Inference Review, launched by Discovery Institute propagandist David Berlinski, which is not peer-reviewed and exists for the sole purpose of making pseudoscience appear more legitimate. Jim's clueless ramblings do not even remotely resemble primary scientific literature, but he lists them among his actual science on his website anyway. Of course, when facing this topic, James somehow forgets what primary literature is supposed to look like. That's how he initially got into hot water, slandering Nobel laureate Jack Szostak. James was complaining about the prestigious journal Nature and what Szostak allegedly published in it, and how it doesn't meet the typical standards of the journal. He called Jack a liar multiple times, to the delight of his clueless, cackling audience. In actuality, it wasn't primary literature at all, but a web article meant for lay people, and there were no lies or inaccuracies, as James continues to claim to this day. His profoundly unprofessional and defamatory behavior has only gotten worse, as he now regularly attacks prominent researchers in this field or blatantly misquotes and misrepresents them. And that's why we're here, to highlight Jim's fraudulence. There is nothing to debate. The question as to whether we are clueless about the origin of life is idiotic. We aren't. Apologists like James train viewers to regurgitate the ridiculous lie that there's been no progress since the Miller-Urey experiment of the 1950s. In reality, we have multiple viable prebiotic synthetic pathways to all the relevant biomolecules and their polymers. And systems chemistry is showing us how sets of these molecules can have evolved over millions of years to produce the first protocell, which we will discuss later. James knows essentially nothing about any of it, but pretends to for his viewers who take him on blind faith, something they are quite comfortable doing. So we will get to James fumbling the science in a moment, but first it is important to establish that James is a brazen liar and charlatan in ways that everyone can understand without knowing anything about science. For example, part of Jim's script is to complain about the primordial soup model. He describes this as lightning striking some water and molecules form a slithering creature that crawls out. This is the dumbest straw man in history. Yet he insists that all these textbooks say precisely this, and it is taught to undergraduates as well as graduate students. In actuality, the textbooks look like this. They contain summaries of much of the research we will discuss momentarily: syntheses of biomolecules, ribozymes, autocatalysis, and other complex concepts. So he's just lying. He's trying to make science he doesn't like seem infantile and stupid. Another way he downplays the validity of the field is to pretend that almost no one is working in it. He claims it's a boutique field with no more than a dozen teams examining the problem. That's a lie. There are thousands of scientists working on this all over the world. He needs to lie about this because it's much more difficult to claim that thousands of scientists are all either corrupt or stupid, while only James knows the truth. A dozen is much easier to swallow, so he lies. He also pretends to be well-read in the subject. He isn't. He has admitted that he's read less than 5% of the literature on the topic, although in reality, over 3 million papers have been published since 2016, so he's read maybe 0.001% of the literature. More importantly, for the few papers he has read, the diligence he projects is a facade. As to anyone knowledgeable, he reveals a level of incompetence that is shocking for someone of his stature. Take, for example, this study by Stephen Benner, a researcher James regularly slanders. Here, Benner was showing nucleotide polymerization over basaltic glass to form RNA. James notes that Benner washes the glass thoroughly with hydrogen peroxide and ultra-pure water, and then throws his hands in the air about how this makes the study not prebiotically relevant because he is washing away trace magnesium that would impede nucleotide polymerization on the early Earth. In his profound ignorance, James neglects to realize that basaltic rock is specifically rich in magnesium, information that anyone who had taken Geology 101 would know. Furthermore, he wonders where, oh where, could one find hydrogen peroxide and ultra-pure water on the early Earth, as though its use makes the study not prebiotically relevant. In reality, these are used to destroy biological material like bacteria that would contaminate the results. So, in fact, the washes are done specifically to make the experiment prebiotically relevant. This example is crucial because James will focus much of his empty criticism on claiming that research is not sufficiently prebiotic. But remember this example where James was so clueless that he does not even understand what the researchers are doing and why. This is his primary tactic. He skims the supplemental section of a paper, invents a technical flaw out of thin air, and pretends it negates the results of the paper, and by extension, origin of life research in general. But it gets much worse. James regularly botches concepts not just in geology, but also in his own field. For an example, we return to Benner's research where he synthesized ribose in prebiotically relevant fashion. James doesn't like it one bit, and when confronted with a 13C NMR spectrum demonstrating the presence of ribose, he not only pretends the data is invalid, but he goes to town with meme after meme, cartoon after cartoon, childishly mocking Benner for his garbage data. Here's this laughing Spanish guy meme where the whole crowd laughs in unison at the idiot Benner who thinks he got ribose when it's actually a mess of a billion compounds. But the joke is on James, as his pathetic commentary reveals that he can't even read a 13C NMR spectrum, something he should have learned as an undergrad. James compares the spectrum to that of pure ribose when the sample is ribose borate, a different compound, with broad peaks due to rapidly interconverting forms. The billions of compounds are actually just noise, as the vertical axis is expanded to highlight the wider peaks. This abject failure has been confirmed by every chemist I've corresponded with, from Benner himself to J. William Suggs, Professor Emeritus of Chemistry at Brown University, and many others. The idea that James can't do something that an undergrad could do is astounding, and whether his brain ceases to function when examining this research, or he is deliberately lying to a gullible audience with no clue what he's talking about, his credibility is reduced to zero with this example alone. So that's a brief summary of James Tour. He's a toxic individual and pathological liar who actively promotes science denial and slanders diligent researchers. Or in my case, he scours the internet for clips of me in music videos to commit character assassinations, or unleashes a barrage of insults about how Dave doesn't know chemistry, even though most of his students use my organic chemistry tutorials to get through his unbearable course. He baselessly shouts hype when his own research is full of hype. He whines about being accused of believing in the God of the gaps when he objectively does. He publicly calls for the halting of an entire field of science he doesn't understand just to shelter his fragile, archaic faith. But today, finally, with no desk to hide behind, every tactic will be elucidated in real time, and he will be made accountable for his lies for everyone to see. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I will.
God damn! Oh!
We now turn to Dr. Tour, who will ask a question.
One of the things that we have to make in order to have life are polypeptides, where we take amino acids and these amino acids have to couple. And when they couple, it will form a dipeptide. This dipeptide is one of thousands and thousands and thousands that would have to form. If you were going to make a polypeptide, you'd need at least 100 of these for a very small polypeptide. Mr. Farina, show me the prebiotic chemistry that would do this coupling. Be my guest.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need the board. So this was my second prompt, so I guess we'll circle back to this. But yeah, you keep going. Show me the references in your content. But so you're missing a mountain of research, literally a mountain of research that demonstrates this. So here's one: condensation of amino acids to form peptides in aqueous solution. So we've got sulfur 4 oxidative monool, carbonyl sulfide mediated prebiotic formation of peptides. There's another one.
That does not do it, and the two you showed do not do it. This is called asparagine, DK. They do not do it with these.
Okay, so what is Lehman's a fraud? Gadiri's a fraud? Are you calling them a fraud? They published a paper, carbonyl sulfide mediated prebiotic formation of peptides. So if you're saying they didn't do that, you're
show me the example in there. I studied this. I looked over every paper you put up.
Have never studied anything in this area. Are you kidding me? All you do is go, show me the papers, and then I show you papers. Here, let's see if I can find that one exactly.
Yeah, show me the one exactly that does this in a prebiotic fashion. Show me. It's not there.
Okay.
I'm asking you to come up and show me the chemistry.
James, I don't need to write on the board. I brought actual papers. This is actual research.
Okay, show me the
Here you
paper.
go.
Show
There
me
you go.
in that paper this example.
Okay,
This is
look
called.
at- this is the one you wanted, James.
Aspartic acid.
James.
This is called lysine.
James, look. This is the Gadiri paper. Here's the scheme. You want to go through that?
But
Aqueous, room temperature, you get oligopeptides. Okay, and it jumps to 80% yield with prebiotic oxidizing agents.
But
like
not with this,
ferrocyanide.
because what
Really not
happens
with it.
is this would participate. This would
Oh,
participate.
you want to do the side chain thing? Okay, well we got research for that too.
Of course, I'm speaking to the side chain. This is not
There you go.
glycine. That's not
Regioselective.
prebiotically relevant.
What do you
That
mean
has
it's not
nothing to
prebiotically
do with prebiotic.
Okay,
That
how about this
sulfur
one?
that sulfur compound was made separately in
Okay, someone's got to rein
dichloromethane
him in.
using HOBT, which is a coupling agent designed by human beings for solid phase synthesis.
Ginger,
That's how they made
Are you
the
saying
thiol.
sulfur is not available prebiotically? It doesn't matter what solvent they use.
No, HOBT was the compound, that SH compound that you just showed was made in a separate reaction. That was in a separate reaction, and he describes that.
Okay.
I can show you in the paper.
Thank you. If you don't like that one, how about this Powner one? Powner jacks regioselective peptide formation. Acylated aminonitrile.
Right.
Wait, hold on. I got the scheme here.
It's not in there. You're going to look and look. It's not in there. I studied every one of your papers. Powner doesn't even use amino acids. He uses an aminonitrile.
That's a totally different paper.
An amino acid.
James, that's not the same paper. You're talking about a different
there
paper.
is no coupling.
Look, he got coupling with lysine, regioselective lysine ligation, the most selective peptide ligation that tolerates all proteinogenic side chains.
But
he did this
does not
with
do
all
an
side chains.
amino acid coupling. He's got
What are you talking about? Prebiotic catalytic peptide ligation.
There's no amino acids there.
Yes, it's amino acids.
Okay,
What are you
go to
talking
the
about?
equation of
Well,
that.
I don't-
Go to the equation
I
of
don't
that.
have that one, but you're just lying. You're also
No, I'm not
shifting the
lying. I'll show
goalposts,
you the
though.
paper.
Because by the way, you pretend that there are no papers that show any peptide formation in water. I just showed you a ton. You're shifting
But
goalposts by complaining
How
about
am
the
I
side
shifting
chains.
the goalpost? These are the ones you've got to do. If you can't do it with these active side chains. You cannot.
But he did.
Powner didn't do it with the active side chains. He used an aminonitrile.
Okay,
There are no amino
No,
acids.
James, you're talking about a completely different paper. Peptide ligation by chemoselective aminonitrile coupling in water.
That's an aminonitrile. It's
that is a
aminonitrile.
different
It's
paper.
not amino acid coupling.
I know that's a different paper. He takes this is just a different, he's not going through peptide bond formation. It's a different, right? So you have peptides, you have amino acids condensing, that's peptide formation. He's figuring out a different synthetic pathway that doesn't do coupling, but it doesn't matter. There's a million of these, right? Condensation by wet-dry cycling. Chemoselective
Nobody has
aminonitrile
done
coupling.
this. I'm asking you, Spur,
Okay.
for a specific reaction because half of the amino acids have active side chains. And these guys play this game of not including these ones that have carboxylic acids, not including the ones that have amines.
This is an
You
acylated,
can't do this coupling.
acylated aminonitrile plus unprotected amino acid hydrolyzes the pH7
Right.
to form a
Which
dipeptide.
amino acid? Hydroxylated ones, never carboxylated, never deaminated.
All proteinogenic side chains. All
From
proteino-
aminonitriles.
James, I'm telling you, he did this with lysine. Okay, so the side chain thing is not a problem. So forget the fact that you can't handle that. Right, that peptide formation in water happens and has been demonstrated by about a dozen of these papers that I've shown you.
Only
Now
with
you're
an
talking about the side
activator,
chains.
as you said in your second series.
Yeah, chemical
your first
activator.
Series,
Prebiotically plausible
your
chemical
first
activator.
series, you never said this. As with an activator, you're not coupling
what?
for your amino acids.
Okay,
Yes, I
we've
am.
reached
You're
the
not
end.
coupling.
We've
Carbonyl
reached the end of the
sulfide.
5 minutes.
How much of that 5 did Dave get?
Yeah.
What the shit? Moderator, wake the fuck up. I know you're older than fucking dirt, but come on.
So I just have one quick comment going back to the NMR, and that is when organic chemists run NMRs, they typically don't run them with boric acid present. If you're going to run a C13 NMR of ribose, you want the ribose to be as pure as it can possibly be.
But he was doing chemistry on borate minerals. That's why it was ribose borate.
So now it's your turn to ask.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll get
Dr.
back to the
Turner.
peptides in a second because that was my second.
Yeah,
one.
thank you,
But,
Dave, for the clarification.
Let me.
Do not allow them to misrepresent you or pigeonhole you. How much of that 5 minutes did Dave get? Give me a fucking break.
1 minute. Okay. We'll continue looking at research in a moment, but first, I can't resist confronting James about some of these lies he's been telling, so let's list a few and get some answers. So first, the textbook thing. Primordial soup model is lightning and then a slithering creature crawls out, and that's what all these college-level textbooks say. Again, no, they don't. He made that up, like a liar. Next, this boutique field of a dozen researchers thing. Of the millions of papers that comprise this field, I went through a handful of the ones I've read and made this list. There are thousands more. Pretty dumb lie, huh? And let's add one more. When I had some scientists on my content to help expose James as a fraud, one of them was a friend of mine, organic chemist Bruce Lipschitz, who explained how James was objectively wrong about peptides being unable to form in water, as I just showed you, which I'll prove with about a dozen papers, or I did, and will continue to do so. This hurt James so badly that he spun a ridiculous lie about how I took an unrelated clip of Bruce and stuck it in my content behind his back. This was so idiotic that I had to get Bruce to make another statement specifying that I requested the clip from him and that I had permission to use it, though James did not have permission to share their email exchange. In his emails with James, Bruce explicitly states that he was responding to the claims James had made. There it is in red, but his viewers can't read, so they just ate up the fabricated story. Now, again, remember, I'm demonstrating conclusively that James is a pathological liar. This is important because James also lies about science that goes over most people's heads. So by proving to you what a liar he is, you are now primed to realize how he is lying about all the complex details of origin of life research as well. This way, you won't just nod your head and assume James must be right. So let's begin. Let's begin with the textbook thing. Why would you tell this dumb lie, James? Why would you tell this lie?
Listen, you think you've been taught things that aren't. Whole thing about molecules in a puddle. Okay, so there is a primordial soup model, and there is no understanding of what's happening in this primordial soup. And you talk to people, and this is exactly what they see. They talk about the primordial soup model in all of these textbooks. That's your question.
This is the primordial soup model. It just means some molecules in water. That's what it means.
Look, you were absolutely clueless on
James.
polypeptides. You never gave me the coupling for that reaction. I want you to notice, I'm
No.
going to narrate. This is my time now.
Answer the
I want you to
question.
notice,
No.
he didn't answer the question. I invited him to come up to show me the chemistry, how this is done.
What
No,
the
he did not.
fuck?
He did not. And now you want me
did.
to say, so now this is the
No,
question. The
I
question
showed
is,
counter
I
research
just
that
told
does
you
it.
the
He's just
primordial
confusing it.
soup model
James.
is nonsense, and this is in these textbooks.
You
And
think
this is
that
taught over and
molecules
over again.
turning into slithering creatures is in textbooks? Show me the textbook. Show me the textbook that says molecules form into slithering creatures.
Because this is
Show it to me.
exactly the model that the molecules come together. These form higher organisms that come out of the water.
Molecules form higher organisms that come out of the
Yes,
water.
yes.
Show me the textbook that shows
I don't
that.
have the textbook. I showed you.
Because
There they
I
are.
showed
There they
you-
are. The smelly soup model. There, you have the list right there.
James, I showed
That's
you.
from my video. You have the list.
This is what the textbooks show. Ribozymes,
But
autocatalysis, all
does
the
that
things
text?
that you
No.
pretend aren't real.
Go back to my slide. Go back to my slide. There.
Yeah.
Go back.
No, this is
No.
your quote.
Go one forward. You show the text. All right. Now don't change it. Now, which textbook were you referring? Because I said right there, it says miniature C, prebiotic soup. Those are quotes from each one of
And
those
do they
books. It's
show
in there.
molecules forming a slithering creature? No, they don't, because that's a lie. And you're not going to run out the clock. How about the dozen people thing? Does that look like a
All right.
dozen people to you?
What I meant by that, the number of people that are doing the complex organic Sutherland Pounder type synthesis. This is exactly
No.
what Benner told you.
No.
Benner told you
People
that
all
it's
over the
a
world.
very
Benner
small.
told me. I have
No,
hundreds of
Benner
papers.
told you on the video that there's a small number of people that are still doing the Sutherland type of complex synthesis. He says most of the area
Origin
is
of
not
Life
doing that
community is a
anymore.
boutique community. It's a small number of people. It's a dozen people.
It was in
That's what you
reference
said.
to
No.
the number of people that are doing the complex Sutherland type
The
synthesis.
origin of life community. The origin of life community. You're talking about the field in general. How about the Bruce thing? This was pretty dumb, right? He just took one of the guy's videos and stuck it in.
Because when I
Why'd you do that?
contacted Bruce,
Mhm.
Bruce said to me, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was unaware of
Dave
this.
asked me
He
to
said it
comment
in the
on
email.
some of your
You're not showing the
writings,
whole email.
and
I have
specifically about what we are doing. And does this show?
no. Why don't you show the page? Why don't you
wrong?
show the page where he said I
Does
had
this
no
show
idea that
prove
this
you
is
wrong?
there? Look, I published the whole email.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you're only
here
showing
he
the one.
says that I asked for the
No, but
video,
then-
and he's talking about you. And then here you go.
No,
and
you don't want to show the one where
just
he
took
said,
one of the guy's
I
videos
had
and
no
stuck it in.
idea.
I think he should
You're
apologize.
not
for
Let's
this.
try to
gonna
have-
address anything on live.
This was pretty.
You can-
This was a pretty dumb
Let's
lie.
try
This
to
was
have
a really
a dialogue
malicious
instead of people shouting at each other. So
Uh-huh.
maybe take turns.
lie. I think an apology is in order for this lie.
Oh,
James.
the moderator woke up. Yes, I agree. An apology is in order.
Pretty dumb lie. Pretty dumb lie to tell. I think we can all agree that we are establishing the pathological nature of his lying. Well, then you're blind. He just took one of the guy's videos
Yeah,
and
let's-
stuck it in.
Let's go back to the, we have 1 minute and 11 seconds left. 8 seconds.
Well, it doesn't sound like I'm going to get an
1 minute and
apology
11
from
seconds.
James.
Okay,
Right.
as far as this, he says that I called Jack Sostek a liar.
Yeah.
I did. And Jack Sostek sent me an email. He said, you were pretty hard on me in that talk. And I said, Jack, I'd like to call you to apologize because I was wrong to do that. I said, give me your number. He gave me his number. I called him. We spoke about this. He said to me, Jim, if you would join us in this origin of life research, we would get this thing solved. We had a very
Why'd
good
you say
conversation.
this was a
You
Nature
totally made that up. Because if you had spoken to Jack Sostek, nobody made me apologize to him. I offered him my apology,
Let me
and
show
he
you the
accepted it.
primary literature, the journal Nature.
And I
Does this look like the
apologized
journal
to
Nature?
him.
And but you continue to call his work utterly, no, what did you call it? Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
Yeah,
About these
it is
structures,
utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, but
when
it's
when he
not
says he's going to
because-
have life in his lab in 3 to 5
Yeah.
years in 2014, and now he says, I can't even make the
Yeah,
RNA.
who cares? Who cares? You lied about this. Look, the structures are.
Oh, no. That slide, you can speak to Jack Sostek. He said to me, Jim, that slide was not well done. That was a copy from another article in Scientific
And yet the
American.
structures are
No,
correct.
Jack agrees with me. That was poorly done. There's no stereochemistry on
So
that sugar. When
it's
there's
an
no
article for laypeople.
stereochemistry,
Okay, I'm gonna
it's not
call-
ribose.
I'm going to call a
Stereochemistry
close
is
to
no
this
stereochemistry,
part of the
not
session. Let's move on. It's Dr. Tour's
2 minutes to
prerogative.
ask a question. Okay,
prerogative
my
to ask the
second question is,
let's also try to see if we can stick more to the science instead of diagrams.
oh, I
that
would love
show-
to stick
Well,
to
that
the
was my
science.
only prompt for the
All
lies.
right.
It's important to establish that
Polynucleotides.
James is a liar.
Polynucleotides. You have to be able to make RNA.
That was pretty bad. That Tour just ran off and ran back to the first round instead of addressing directly what David brought up. So he exposed the lie, asked him why he lied, and then he just deflected back over to the first one. So
You have to be able to take this molecule and hook it together many, many times to have a dimer of RNA, abbreviating the base this time as B.
not sure about the
Abbreviating
color, Grim Skeptic, but it's definitely
triphosphate
hung in the
as
middle so it can
P3.
waggle at both ends.
What you have to be able to do is show me chemistry. I'm asking you specifically for chemistry, not a bunch of nonsense here. Show me the chemistry
Not a
to
bunch
get
of peer-reviewed
this
research.
reaction to go such that you get coupling between the 3' hydroxyl to this 5' site. So you need 3', 5' coupling to the exclusion of 2', 5' coupling to the exclusion of branching. Every article that you cited in your videos, every article that you could ever cite that shows this coupling, shows this scrambling, you get significant amounts of 2,5, significant amount of branching. And that's why this chemistry doesn't work. And that's why your own expert, Jack Sostek, even says that Benner's work, where he talked about this thing, was just hyped up. There was nothing there because he
jump in
says
here?
he went with the hype He did not go with
Okay,
the
2
right
minutes
coupling.
is-
Show me the
So,
chemistry.
2 minutes is
funny you
over
Show
should
me
now,
mention-
this
James.
chemistry.
So first of all, this is completely idiotic. Nucleotide polymerization has been demonstrated on Montmorillonite clay for decades.
Yes,
And-
with 30
hang on.
to 70% 2.5. I asked you for 3.5, which is what
Stop
you need to have
interrupting
right.
him.
Do me a favor here. I want you to read the title of that paper there. It's by your buddy, Jack Shostak. He's done some research on this.
Yeah, I know. And Jack Sostek even says he cannot get it. Functional art, except for tolerance for non-inheritable 2.5. How much tolerance? How much?
Enough
Montmorillonite clay is
that-
30 to 70%.
What's the first word in that paper? Functional. So we're talking about RNAs that still have catalytic behavior despite having a mixture of 2,5 and 3'.
His amount of 2.5 to 3.5 is not 30 to 70%. If you have a 0.1%, you're okay because you'll
No.
have runs, but not 30 to 70%. Show me the amount. Your guy Deemer never tells us how much is there.
James, look, the
And then
research
Benner
shows
never told us how much is there.
functional RNAs. So it doesn't matter how much 2', doesn't matter how
Oh,
much
it certainly
He's
does.
allowing them to
And what about
polymerize.
branching?
My God.
It's not there. It's not
Let's
there.
see.
Nobody has ever done this prebiotically. You're going to be looking through your papers a long time. It's never been done. Without an
James,
enzyme, it has never
You are
been done.
completely clueless.
It's
this
over.
Has been done.
It's over. You can't make RNA. There's no life. You can't make RNA. There is no life. You haven't made.
So he just
peptides,
interrupted him
you
and just
haven't
went on a
made
rant.
RNA. It's over.
James, nucleotide polymerization has been demonstrated for decades on clay. You are literally pulling this out of your ass. This has been done for decades. You guys, none of you people know this research. None of you people know this research. You're just blindly trusting him.
All right, let's try to have some civility, please.
The adsorption and polymerization of nucleotides on clay minerals has been demonstrated for decades. James is lying, and people who are cheering for him have no clue what he's talking about. You're just blindly believing him. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's look at it on clay.
Thank
Here is the reference on clay. Here is the reference on clay. Here on Montmorillonite, what did he get? He got 67% 3.5, which means you have 33% 2.5 of the wrong linkage. 1 out of every 3 is wrong. Here he gets 75 to 80% 2.5. So now you have the vast majority 2.5. That's what you get on clay. It's right there, Montmorillonite clay.
And it doesn't matter. That's what Shostak showed in
1
this
out
paper.
of 3 doesn't matter.
No.
It
amount
matters
of 3'5
tremendously.
to the 3'
No,
to 2'.
no. If you have a
still get
fraction of it,
functional
you're
RNAs.
okay. 1 out of
No.
3, Jack Sostek would never. How much does he have there? How much does he have? Tell me. You read the paper.
It says functional RNAs.
I haven't
James.
seen that paper.
means
You're
that
bringing
they
in
do
other
things.
papers, which we agreed you would not do.
James, you're
And now
presenting
tell
yourself
me
as
how
an
much is there,
expert in
because
this
I don't
field.
know. I've not read that
Oh.
paper. You read it. Tell me how much 2.5 does he have?
I don't remember
All
every
right,
single
there we
detail
go.
of the paper.
You don't remember because you don't want to remember. You read the paper. You brought that in. We were not supposed to introduce any papers that had not been in our videos. That you agreed to.
James, here's what would happen though. If you genuinely cared about this question, what you would do is you would go to Google Scholar and you'd put in some keywords and you'd find this Shostak paper.
You would not
You're
find that.
hiding from it.
That has a trace. You on clay you get 37%. This says 80%. You can't have 1 out of every 3 be a wrong linkage. You would never code for a peptide with that. It's over.
How do you know? It says functional RNAs. You have no
Because it's
idea
a
what
trace.
RNAs do.
Because it doesn't work.
Do you understand that
The
RNAs have
alignment is
catalytic
not right.
function? Do you understand that
No,
RNAs have
even if
catalytic
you have
function?
the wrong enantiomer, it doesn't work. Even Donna Blackman has said that in the papers
You
that
have
you
no
cited.
clue what Donna Blackman says. You quote mine her. You have no idea what her research is about. You just pretend to.
Okay, so there we go. I asked him to
Still-
come up
look,
here and
Shostak
show me the
paper on
chemistry,
linkage
just like I
heterogeneity.
would do with a graduate
Still-
student. I said,
still
show me the
recognition and
chemistry.
catalytic
He did
function.
not.
I mean, you
Done.
can say that.
Done. You can't do this. You can't make
You
a
can
cell.
say
You
that,
can't
you
do
can
that. You
cheer,
can't make
but
a cell.
you're just
It's
lying.
over, buddy. It's over.
This is what amounts to. This is what
Wow.
amounts to
Lies and
education.
cheers. Amazing. Lies and cheers.
So
Incredible.
just from a chemical point of view, though, we would need to know what functional RNA meant.
having
function and
catalytic properties.
Function, I mean, because RNA has
Look,
many functions.
It still has
so.
recognition and catalytic function. It lowers the melting point of the duplexes by destabilization, so separation can occur under reasonable conditions.
And what was the percentage? You got everything else written down. What was
James,
the? I don't know.
I'm sorry that I don't have an encyclopedic
Benner's
knowledge
very
of
careful.
hundreds
He
of
would tell
papers.
us. It's
Okay.
in that paper because
But
that's what Benner.
you're basically calling
Shostak got
Shostak
upset
a
with
fraud.
Benner because he didn't do it.
But
Shostak would put that in the
No,
paper.
that's another great one. The Benner thing. Yeah, we're going to get to the Benner one.
okay,
because-
it's time to end that part, but I want to just pause.
Tour is a
To have
raving
functional
lunatic.
RNA, it has to do at least three things. It has to serve as messenger RNA, ribosomal RNA, and
No. messenger RNA. Messenger RNA. You're talking about features of modern cells. We're talking about prebiotic
but
nucleic
ultimately
acids.
has to do that. So what function is my question? Did he show that it performed? 'Cause it has to at least perform one of the three. Ultimately, it's going to have to perform all three.
Yeah, I mean, it's replication. I'm not sure exactly in the context of the paper, but he's saying that 2' linkages don't matter. As though you people have any fucking clue what any of us are talking about. Oh, I know about RNA. No, you don't. You have no clue what either of us are saying. Deal with it.
David Savage.
Answer the question. Anyone who thinks nucleotide polymerization to form RNA has not been demonstrated is clueless. It's been demonstrated by hundreds of researchers and is just
Show us
canon.
right here.
I
Here.
just showed you.
Do it. You got hundreds of examples. Show us. You won't come up.
What do you want me to draw on the
You won't do
board,
it.
James? What do you want
You
me
won't
to
do it.
draw on the board?
Clueless.
Okay, well, let's go to the next round.
Yeah, that's why I brought a bunch of research James pretends isn't real, and you're all pretending to understand right now.
Yeah.
Google? What?
Okay.
All right,
What are you talking
let's go to the next round. Dave, you're next in terms of asking a question.
All right. So
to
we've been talking
Dr.
about
Jordan.
peptides and nucleic acids, so I'll give a prompt on this too. So let's talk about biomolecules. Amino acids are ubiquitous and even form in space, and Strecker-like synthetic pathways have been known for decades. Amino acids polymerize to yield peptides. Again, James has humiliated himself even tonight, claiming peptides can't form in water, no matter how many references I show him. Here are some of the papers that we've been talking about. He keeps trying to talk about side chains because he hasn't admitted yet that this does happen. Peptide formation with prebiotic chemical activators. There are countless studies generating this. So the objections, like the reactions from side chains, I'm very sorry, but they have been addressed, showing regioselective coupling even for lysine. When he objects to this, he's just lying about what the paper is about. Then don't forget condensation by wet-dry cycling, as well as totally alternate synthetic pathways that don't involve condensation. Next, plenty of studies show prebiotic syntheses of nucleotides, and their adsorption and polymerization on clay has been studied for decades. These catalytic surfaces also protect RNA from degradation. This type of chemistry has been taken out of the lab and shown to work in prebiotic analog conditions, primarily hot springs where biopolymers form efficiently and become encapsulated in vesicles. James ignores all of this research and just complains about aspects of experimental setup, like running reactions under argon, which is done specifically to avoid contact with the oxygen that wasn't present on the early Earth. Or he pretends prebiotically plausible reagents like DAP are not prebiotically plausible by only showing research from the 1950s instead of current research. He will wonder how nature knew to phosphorylate the 5' hydroxyl to get nucleotides, oblivious to research demonstrating that protection by borate minerals yields precisely that. In general, he ignores decades of research and just spews his script about how we don't know how to get these molecules. But we do, so let's continue talking about this.
Okay, so there were so many there. You know, this is called rapid fire so that you can't answer anymore.
I'm just showing you
All
all
right,
the
so
research.
you
It's
you
not.
cited this
It
paper where
wasn't.
they used sulfur 4.
Okay.
This is not just water, it has activation. Once you activate, it is not amino acids polymerizing in water. As soon as you activate, it goes from being zwitterionic, to being not zwitterionic. It functionalizes on the carboxylic acid. That proton gets freed up. That proton gets freed up on the amine, and then it can do the attack.
You're
So what?
describing
No,
the
wait,
mechanism of
I'm not
amino
done.
acid
I'm not done. This
polymerization.
is my section. Let me get
No,
done here.
this is us talking
Alanine,
together.
phenylalanine, and serine. That is what he used. Alanine, phenylalanine, he had serine, he had the OH. He never used the ones that have the carboxylic acid, the aspartic acid that I told you. He never used the lysine.
Yeah.
This is the paper. That's why you couldn't get up,
You are
because
shifting
this
the
didn't
goalposts.
solve it. I read the paper. It didn't solve it. Look at the list.
You claim
look
that
at the list
peptide
of,
formation
look
in
at the
water
list
was
of the
impossible.
ones that he used.
You claim that
It's
peptide,
not there.
James, you claimed that peptide formation in water was not possible countless
No,
times
it was.
in your
Oh, no,
content.
you said.
You never
you
said,
that
oh,
these,
it
no,
happens,
you
but
said
not
it
with
in your
lysine.
second series. You said with suitable activation.
Yeah,
That's the
chemical
key,
activation.
because they're no longer zwitterionic anymore. You said
James,
it was no. You said
amino acid,
you said
sulfur
peptide formation
trioxide,
in water
dipeptide.
was exergonic. In the very paper when you were showing Lee Cronin's work, where he showed delta G was positive, it was endogonic. You said it's exergonic.
No, I didn't say it was exergonic. What the
You
hell are talking
absolutely
about?
did. You said
No.
it's exergonic.
It's endergonic. I know that it's endergonic.
No,
Look at
you
this
go
slide.
back to your video when you were discussing Lee Cronin's work. You said it's exergonic.
Nature does this with chemical activation.
And-
Lowers
and-
the
and
activation
it goes
energy,
back the
and it
other way.
happens. And then the barrier is very large.
All right. Do you
James,
have
you're
you
flailing
asked
here.
me one specific
He
question.
literally
amino
just brought up
acids,
the
showed
that
me
this is
reference.
endoronic,
Dipeptide.
and so
What's
James
wrong with
literally
that?
just
All right,
flat out
I'll tell
lied
you what's wrong. Don't
by
move
that
your
slide.
Don't
Oh, yeah.
move your slide.
Okay,
I'll
no,
tell
I'm
you
not.
what's wrong. You look right there. You look right there at the first one is alanine, phenylalanine, serine, phenylalanine. None of them bear a carboxylic acid side chain. None of them bear an amine side chain. Don't you
Again,
see how he cherry picked this thing? So it can only. I'm not
Goalposts.
moving any goalposts.
Is this prebiotically plausible dipeptide formation? Could
Not
you give that?
not the dipeptide I showed you. You
For these
if you don't even
residues,
have
for
one,
these
if you don't
residues,
even have
James.
one. Yes, this
You don't
only
even have
gives
one.
you the. It doesn't give you the functional ones.
Amino acid, sulfur trioxide, dipeptide.
Only for half of
in
the amino
water.
acids.
So what?
What do you mean? So what?
But you're not
You
even
can't-
conceding that.
You have to have 20
You're not even
amino
conceding
acids
that.
participating. They load the chemistry. They keep selecting the ones that only work under their conditions. They can't do it with the free carboxylic acid. They can't do it with the free
You
amino.
pretend that peptide bond formation in water is impossible. I've showed you all
I
of
didn't
that
say it's
research.
impossible if you have activation. You only said that in your second series, and you know it.
No, you've never
You
said.
know it.
No, you've never said with activation it's possible. You keep saying it's impossible, and you even play the clip of me going, "I have references," and then you just cut it off.
Only
And you continue to
don't you
pretend that the research
understand?
isn't
Of
there.
course, I explained this to you. Even with Bruce Lipshitz's was proper activation in his.
Bruce Lipshitz's research was not prebiotically relevant. I never said it was. I was just having a chemist explain how you're wrong because it's useful.
No, but I'm saying the activation part was there. The activation part. You
What-
have another
What does
specific
that have to
question.
do with sulfur
Yeah,
trioxide?
bring up another.
Are you
give me
saying
another-
sulfur
you came
trioxide is
with,
not
with rapid
prebiotically
fire.
relevant?
I only remembered this one. Do you have another question for me?
Huh?
You have another question for me?
The question.
Come on, bring it on.
There's no question. I explained a bunch of research about peptides and RNA that you're pretending isn't real. Right? You're just shifting the goalposts about lysine, and I'm showing you another paper.
Mr.
where Fowler
Farina!
got it.
Here!
What
Go!
do you
go!
want me-
Go! You don't do it! You just
This dude is an
talk.
educator.
Why
Show
would
me
I
the chemistry.
try? Why would I try to draw
I told you I would speak
structures?
to you as I would speak to any
James,
graduate student.
if
And I would
I-
tell them to come to
If,
the
if
board
I
and
wrote
write.
this,
Come to the board and
if
write.
I wrote
Show me
this
the chemistry.
scheme on the board, would you suddenly accept it? Why are you so obsessed with me using
Because
chalk?
you can't show a chemistry that's going to give you the 3,5 to the exclusion of the 2,5.
You're
You mentioned
jumping
around
around like
like
crazy.
and I showed you
This is called the
37%.
Gish Gallop, everybody. This is called the Gish Gallop. Oh, peptides? You got peptides? Okay, you don't get the lysine residue. Oh, you got the lysine residue? Well, you can't get the 2' linkages. Oh, they got the 2' linkages? They can't get this. This is his tactic. I'm showing a mountain of research that invalidates all of his objections, and he's just denying it. I don't care what any of you guys are saying. None of you have any capacity to read this literature, and you're just blindly believing James. You have no idea what he's
let's
talking about.
close this session. I have a couple of comments. One is we'll have the opportunity for the audience to ask questions at the end. So we'd appreciate it if the audience would not ask.
I hope they ask my question. I
Yeah,
really
that'd
do.
be good.
Number one. Number two, I want to make sure everybody in the audience understands the term exergonic and endergonic. So that has to do with
And the
free
slide
energy
that Dave put up
and
said
free energy.
endergonic. He literally like James was caught in a lie right there.
Free energy change in a chemical reaction is negative.
Thank you, Mr. E-Man, for another 20 Bridge the Godless Army memberships. Thank you so much, Mr. E-Man. Super generous tonight. You rock.
Positive, that's endergonic, and it goes in the other direction.
Yep.
So just to clarify that.
And modifying the carboxyl moiety makes the reaction with the amino group work. So that's great.
Okay, and then lastly, the argument that you guys are having, the debate, I should say, that you're having about the nucleoside.
Yeah, I don't know what preserve he shot that thing on his head.
I've already given him the stereochemistry of all small molecules. I've conceded that.
That's my third prompt, so
I've conceded
we'll get to homochirality. That's going to happen in a second.
Okay. It's so important, of course.
Yeah, it's very important, but I conceded it so I can just get to these other things. Right. Okay, polysaccharides.
It never popped up for me, Colin. I apologize if I missed it. But thank you very much. So this is just him drawing on the board.
I want to take two of these and couple them together just to make a dimer. That's it, just to make a dimer here. Make a disaccharide of glucose.
Picard season 3 tribbles. Fucking terrifying. Yeah, this mod is pretty trash. He's not reining in James at all, and James just like taking over whenever Dave is trying to answer a question like that. He just jumps all over him. He needs to be reining him in.
What we've established here is that in this coupling, this is down. This is the alpha configuration at that center. We've also established that this hydroxyl did not participate. This hydroxyl did not participate. This hydroxyl do not participate. In order to do this biologically, not prebiotically, but biologically, you have to use an enzyme that has about 1,000 amino acids in it. So the probability of that forming randomly would be 20 to the 1,000th. I mean, it's just a crazy big number. If something's bigger than 10 to the 50th, you don't have enough time in the universe. You wouldn't have it.
What's the mathematical function? What probability function you use to get that?
Any chemistry that you
have a system of 1 to 1. What the fuck?
That would do this coupling, and you will say, "Oh, I argue that only enzymes can do this." You don't have enzymes because you couldn't make them here. You couldn't make them there. No enzymes. You're lost. We already established you don't have enzymes. There's no enzymes yet on the prebiotic earth. You couldn't make them. You're clueless on that.
Okay, time is up.
I showed peptide formation and I showed RNA formation, and this entire talking point is a non-starter.
When you can't do it with half of the
Stop interrupting him.
You didn't make it with the peptides.
Piece
when you
of
can't
shit.
control that 2,5 linkage that's 30 to 70% 2,5, you haven't made any functional nucleotide.
Okay,
so you don't have those
Shostak, you're calling Shostak a liar because functional RNA was the first 2 words in the title of the paper. So you are actively calling
You remember what I
Shostak
told you
a
about the
liar
title of paper?
again.
Remember what I told you about? It's a bunch of hype. That's why I said, Mr. Farina, show us the data. Show us the data. And you said you read the paper and you couldn't find out.
I showed you a bunch of papers.
You couldn't find in there how much 2,5 he has.
You just start
Shostak
shouting
is very
and then people
careful.
clap for you.
He would supply that number.
Okay, James. So check it out. You're completely unhinged and wrong about everything we said about polypeptides and polynucleotides. However, let's take that out of the equation, okay? Because you said you're going to give me all the molecules, whatever you said earlier. Will you concede that this is a perfectly viable explanation for biologically relevant polysaccharides?
You only came out with that in your second series. In your first video on your first video, you said these just keep hooking on the end. Only when I nailed you on it did you come out in your second one and say, "Oh, I meant it had enzymes." Okay. And in truth, with enzymes you can get it, but you don't yet have enzymes.
You're talking about peptides.
You don't
You're
have
just lying
enzymes.
about what I
That's
said.
why I put polysaccharide number 3 to show that you couldn't make enzymes.
You're wrong, and we do have enzymes. But if you'll grant me the enzymes anyway in this magical world that you've invented, where will you concede that this is a perfectly viable explanation for biologically relevant polysaccharides? Enzymes did it, just like they do today. Can you wrap your head around that, James?
Give me a minute to wrap my head
Give you a
around
minute
this,
to know
please.
what enzymes are and
give-
what they do.
Just give me.
If enzymes exist, can we get biologically relevant polysaccharides? Yes or no?
Here is the enzyme
the answer is
that
yes.
do this. This is the enzyme that does this. It is 98 kilodaltons. It's 20 to the 842.
I sucked at OChem, and even
That's
I
10
that.
to the 1094
Yeah.
possible scenarios. If you have
Now,
anything more
is that
than
the enzyme that does this
10
today,
to the
or is that
50th,
the enzyme
you don't
that
have
did this
enough
4 billion
time
years
in our
ago?
universe. In 14 billion years.
Wow, big numbers,
Yeah,
guys.
big numbers. So this is the type of
So
enzyme
James-
that you would have to
James,
have.
So this is an enzyme that exists today
Yes.
and is the product of 4 billion years or however many billion years of evolution. Not sure when this exactly came about. Is it possible that another enzyme that doesn't have this exact sequence could perform this chemistry? Yeah?
Well, let's take a look at that.
I mean, or you could just answer the
let me
question.
tell you something. Let's take a look at that. This is a little molecule, right? This is a little 6-carbon molecule.
Sure.
You know what it took to make this? It takes 11 enzymes, 4 of them unique, and 4 activators, and these 15 steps today to make it. You're telling me on an early Earth there was some enzyme that magically put this molecule together. This takes 14
You're talking
enzymes.
about a monosaccharid?
This is
James, remember Benner's research?
monosaccharide.
Remember Bonner's-
Monosaccharide. This is 10 to the 65,000.
James, foremost makes sugars. Foremost reaction makes sugars. What are you talking about? You're talking about
Because
ribose?
they've never been
I thought
able
we were
to
talking about
separate those.
polysaccharides.
They've never been able to use those sugars for anything.
What do you
Because
mean?
Because they're so contaminated. Name me
They're so
one person
contaminated.
that has name me one person,
Mhm.
one person that has made a stereo-controlled reaction to make glucose, and that could ever separate it from the mess that you get.
Why
Zero.
would they
Nobody.
have to separate it?
Nobody.
Why would they have to separate it?
You have to separate
Why?
it.
You have to separate it in the lab because you need to characterize it because you're a chemist.
No, because
Nature doesn't need
to
to do
take
that.
it on to the next step. There's so many.
Molecules that are in a mixture can't do chemistry?
What did Lee Cronin tell you? In the foremost
I don't know.
reaction,
He's not my
you
favorite
get billions,
scientist. Like you
billions
say.
of compounds.
Yeah.
In seconds to hours, you get
Yeah.
billions.
And that's why they do all this research on mineral surfaces because it
the
tamed.
mineral
remember
surface didn't.
taming the
The
combinatorial.
mineral surface didn't take care of it. You want to get
No, it
into what
did.
Benner did?
Remember the NMR spectrum? Remember
Okay,
the billions of
let me-
compounds?
Okay,
and the
you want
NMR
me
spectrum
to
that you
address
can't read
Benner's
because you're a
problem?
buffoon?
Here's Benner's problem. All right, you want me to address that? We'll address it. All right,
Foremost gives you
here-
sugars. I'm sorry, James. I don't know what to tell you here. You're just in denial of reality, and it's unfortunate that you cannot read a 13
Okay,
NMR spectrum.
here's Benner's reaction to make his 4 comments.
Sure.
Here's his reaction, okay? So here he goes through this. What did he do? Here's the experimental procedure. What he did is he silated it. He silated it with this NO-bis trimethylsilyl-trifluoroacidamide. He silated it, he ran, and then he filtered it twice. It was filtered twice before it ever got on the GC to filter out many of the things.
Because he's doing characterization, James.
No.
He has to
no,
verify
he's trying to,
what
he's
he
telling
got.
us he made 4 compounds. Here's the 4 compounds he says he made, okay?
James, do you
But
understand?
what do you think all these other peaks are? What are all these other peaks that he's even
he
filtered
got
out?
5
now,
different sugars.
Now, let's even just say it was 4. Let's say he just made 4.
This is pathetic.
No.
You're
let me-
covering for the fact that you can't
let me
read a
go over
13
this with you.
NMR spectrum.
Here he
James.
gives his half-life. He gives the half-life of each of these compounds on his borate glass, on his colmanite. Here is the half-life. You know what half-life means? That in a few hours, half of it is decomposed. What did it decompose into, Steve Benner? I asked Steve Benner this very question. You said it has a half-life. What did it decompose into?
And then he
These
never
are all
got back to
foreign
you because
problems.
he's tired
And you
of
know
you
what Steve
slandering
Benner
him on the
said to
internet.
me? You know what Steve Benner said to me? He
What did
said
he say?
nothing. He answered every other question but that. Then, so I wrote to him back in January. I tried to understand from him, how did he get that? Now, let's say he did have just 4 compounds and he made 200 mers. That would give you 10 to the 120 different RNA molecules. 10 to the 120. Remember, 10 to the 50, 10 to the 90 is the number of elemental particles in the universe.
Okay, we're a little
in the
bit
universe.
These numbers are
This guy
meaningless.
made
Dr.
10 to
Jordan.
the
Meaningless for
120
shock value.
different molecules. It's totally useless. Totally useless.
Have you seen
This
this
is what
one
they
by
do.
Joyce?
We're a little bit over, so we need
Okay,
to go
I'm
now
done.
to the next
All right.
Wally.
So, who asks now? Okay.
Is on me? All right. Let me get to my start. Okay. Okay, let's talk homochirality. Living organisms use L amino acids for proteins and D sugars for nucleic acids.
I've given you all the chirality. I've given it to you.
Yeah, this is my 2 minutes, James. Keep quiet. So first, it should be noted that Dave doesn't know chemistry. Farina had to teach James the definition of homochiral. He was using it improperly. But more importantly, James either fumbles or ignores all the research in this area. This all started when I cited a singular paper talking about stochastic crystallizations of amino acids. In his content, James deflected to another paper, complained about EE and yield for a while, and totally ignored the data in the paper, referring to this train wreck as having a field day, compared with my ability to actually discuss the paper properly. If James would like, I can get him up to speed on stochastic crystallization tonight. But to give a brief overview, we know that threonine and asparagine crystallize as one enantiomer. Research has shown glutamic and aspartic acid to do the same under metastable conditions, plus co-crystallization of all others in tandem with asparagine at yields and EEs James pretends aren't real. Beyond this, deracemization has been demonstrated via sublimation, so even racemic crystals can become enantiopure. Donna Blackman has done a lot of work in this area, so James decided to quote mine her like crazy in his content, pretending some things she said about parity violation somehow describe homochirality in general. In reality, her review, Spoilt for Choice, from way back in 2007, already summarizes many of the ways homochirality can have come about, which means we don't know precisely how it happened, only because we know of so many feasible options. Then there is research showing how homochirality can have evolved at the polymer level rather
this is
than
live.
the monomer, but still prior to the emergence of life, and then more research discussing homochirality after the simplest life emerged. Here is a handy chart depicting all the possibilities, so there are lots of places for us to begin this discussion.
Okay, I just want you to understand what the man has just done, and he keeps doing, is he's reading exactly the script from his YouTube video. He cannot speak chemistry on the fly. He's reading the script from his YouTube video. That's exactly what he's doing. So let me answer this.
Because it's 2 minutes, and I like to pack.
Look, I've already given him the chirality. I gave it to him, but he has to come back to this because he's got nothing else.
Yeah, but you keep saying we're clueless about homochirality,
so your article, Spoiled for Choice, what you said, your exact words, they're here on the screen. You said, Mr. Farina, you said, spoiled for choice, we know of too many ways that homochirality can have arisen to say for certain which one it was. Her own words, unquote. I got this from his YouTube video. Well, that's not what the title is. Let's read the title with me. Spoiled for Choice, Assessing Phase Behavior Models for the Evolution of Homochirality.
Wow.
He said the title was one thing and it's a totally different thing. Now, he goes on. Let's look at the paper. Let's look at the paper. Now, she says, she's giving here, she says, in this magazine, Chemistry World, which is not a mainline journal, she says they are talking about models and she's disagreeing with them. He says they are saying it's spoiled for choice. This is not what she's talking about. She's talking about phase behaviors here. So this is the magazine she was quoting from. And then she says, solution solid equilibrium, time is on our side. Dave says time is on our side means that,
James,
that time doesn't hurt us in physics. That's not what she meant. She's just using this as poetry in the sense that she says the next one, good things come to those who wait.
James, you said
So
you said show me the data.
I'm showing you the data. What
you
she
remember
shows
when you couldn't read this paper?
What
it was
she
really
shows
funny.
in her own paper, she shows two methods, a kinetic method and a thermodynamic method.
You're running out the clock.
Thermodynamic,
I showed you
I'm not done. I'm not done.
I'm not done. You haven't
The thermodynamic method and the kinetic method. So here she says simply sublime. Are you going to say that that means something? No, she's just using the term. Now look at her references. So here's the reference section.
You go to those references. Do you know what sublime means?
References.
Sublimation.
Of course, sublimation. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sublime. This is, but she's saying simply sublime. It means sublimation. She's not. There's nothing deeper here. You're trying to say that there's something deeper. That time is on our side. You even said in the video, James has to understand that.
Crystals become enantiomer-rich.
Let's look at her papers.
You're
Let's look at the
pretending it
papers
doesn't
that she cites. This is a review article. So we go to the exact papers. Here's her exact paper. She's using chloroform. She's using DMSO. How relevant is dimethyl sulfoxide and chloroform in a prebiotic
You're cherry picking. A lot of people do this in water.
What do you mean I'm cherry picking? You put it under non-prebiotic conditions, you can get synthetic chemistry to go. This is from Donna Blackman's own paper. This is the paper she cited in the review. The review doesn't give you detail. Then you look up the other.
You're cherry picking one aspect of the review.
This is her review article. Let's look at another
paper.
paper.
He combs the experimental section for a tiny detail he thinks invalidates
Here is the paper for sublimation. All right? Here's the paper she cites for sublimation. You look it up. This is a paper by Cooks. What you do is you take your material here, you take your material and you put it in this
What does that have to do with the origin of life?
Because we're going to see if it's really prebiotically relevant. You put it in a hot tube that's at 175 degrees, and right next to it, you put a collection system that's at minus 78 degrees. Yeah, on an early Earth, that's really going to be possible. And so you have something 175 degrees, something at minus 78 degrees, and it's sublime. Now, wait a minute. I'm not done. So she says it's sublime.
She's referencing a phenomenon that exists and then applying it to origin of life research.
In order for this reaction to work, she says this is her own paper. This is your paper, the one she cited. She says, if the first enantiomeric imbalance was brought to Earth by fractionation of the organic space dust,
which is totally possible,
via sublimation, and then it landed in a pond and magically crystallized under these very stringent chloroform GMSO conditions. You couple these two crazy hard things together, then maybe we could get it.
When the temperature goes down, things crystallize.
That's your paper.
Smokes.
Read the paper. Look at the experimental. Look at the references. It can't be done.
This is complete
it's
incredulity.
going to be coming from one thing to the other. Can't be done.
Do you understand that we can get enantioenrichment by co-crystallization? You're going all over the place just so that you don't have to talk about the papers I'm showing you. Do you see all 12 of these amino acids are resolving at once? It's stochastic, so it's random every time, and you can get very high EEs.
I'm not.
Remember when you pretended these
conceded
EEs
it
weren't
all
real?
to you, but I'm telling you, these are under amazingly stringent conditions.
But they aren't.
That are very
but they
hard.
aren't. But they aren't.
But they are. But
No,
they are. I
but they
showed you
aren't.
the setup. I showed you the setup.
You showed me something that Donna referenced as a proof of concept that she then takes into account for origin of life research.
But you have
it's a
to do
completely
that.
separate paper.
No. The sublimation.
She's saying this is
sublimation
chemistry that has been
look,
demonstrated.
I've given
with
you
some
even
apparatus.
the amino acids I cited in that paper. That paper, you got 1% of the pure material.
Let's
you got
put it
1%.
this way.
It's a very difficult thing. But anyway, I've conceded that.
You have made a 10-hour
you
course on abiogenesis,
keep coming back
and
to
you say
this.
homochirality, we're clueless about it.
You just said homochirality. Oh, there's the word. There's the word, homochirality. You used it over and over again in your videos until you talked to Donna Blackman. You used it over and over again. You have many references to homochirality referring to small molecules.
You talk about how we're clueless about homochirality all the time. That's why I show this to show you that we're not.
All right.
Crystallization, sublimation. These are processes
to move
by
to the
which
next round.
this happens. Thank you. You can't hide forever, James. Can't hide forever.
Just a quick comment about homochirality and enantiomerically pure. They started as different terms, but chemical technology and not technology, but chemical nomenclature changes all the time. And there's been a blending now. People using homochirality when they mean enantiomerically pure, and vice versa. So
I've never heard anyone say homochiral glucose and have that mean something accurate.
And we used to talk about stereospecific reactions and stereoselective reactions, and those have become blended now. They have very
those also mean different things.
Firm definitions, but they're unfortunately used interchangeably, and that happens with. That's already happened.
That's just an error, though, because they do have very specific definitions.
But organic chemistry is a language, and languages change. Nomenclature changes as well over time. So,
yeah, but specificity and selectivity mean different things. So I think we should push back on people.
Stereoselectivity and stereospecificity.
Or
regiospecificity. Can we get on, because we got to.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Specified information.
Oh, fuck
is
you,
the next
Tor.
use. Specified information. We have to have some information for the
The
coding
fucking ego
in
on this
exam.
asshole.
Here is Lee Cronin, your favorite counselor on origin of life. Here's what he says. He says, because there's some contingent information embodied outside the genome. He goes through and he says how people have claimed to have made cells. This is where he's explaining what he means by origin of life research is a scam. It is a scam. I say they're clueless. He says scam. Take whichever term you want. This is his favorite guy. He's come around. He's born again now. He says, but coming back to the scam is, if we just make this RNA, we've got this. You know this fluke event? We know how that's simple. Let's make the phosphodiester. Let's make ATP. We've got that part nailed. Let's now make another molecule and another. And how many molecules are going to be enough? And then he describes Craig Venter's work, which I talk about all the time. And he says, Venter says he made life. He says, not quite. He facsimiled a genome from this entity, and he made it in the lab. And then he put it into an existing cell. He said He had to take an existing cell that has a causal chain going back to Luca. Luca is the last universal common ancestor, not the first cell, but the cell from which all other cells on Earth are presumed to have come. He says there was something outside of this.
Take it easy,
He says
Germania.
you couldn't make a cell from scratch. He says, but even today, all of synthetic biologists cannot make a cell from scratch because there's something contingent information embodied outside the genome of the cell. This isn't Jim Tour, the religious guy, saying this. This is Lee Cronin, the non-religious guy, saying this. He's seeing what I see. This is what I'm saying. Where does the specified information come from, Mr. Farina? Where does it come from? Tell us. Here, take the chalk. Write it for us. Anywhere you want.
Take the chalk.
Write it for us. Tell us.
Don't show me research. Take the chalk. Please, take the chalk. Okay, so Venter is a synthetic biologist. He's not an origin of life researcher. So that is not actually terribly relevant. There's some overlap, but that's not how life began. So when you take extant life and strip things away, that is not directly addressing the origin of life. So you're
Where's
taking
the
a completely different field. Information is in nucleic acids and peptides.
No, that is like that.
Nucleic acids don't convey information? Are you joking?
There is no information there to give you the prescription you need.
What do you mean, no information?
Because what I'm telling you is it has what is called Shannon information. It's information from randomness, which is not
The
specified.
sequence of monomers
No,
is the
specified
That's not.
information.
That's
This
no,
man
no,
is
because it
seeing
can become.
Even Benner.
The sequence
You want to
of
quote
monomers
what
is
Benner
the
says about
information.
this?
What the fuck?
I mean, I have that quote too. Benner sees the same thing that I'm seeing. He says it's informationless.
James, I find it hilarious that you continue to pretend that origin of life researchers are pretending that origin of life research is invalid. Don't you think that's a really dumb lie to be telling? You're definitely just pretending. You're taking, he's having a lighthearted podcast conversation, and you're pretending that Lee Cronin is going, origin of life research is stupid. All of my work is stupid. Why would you think anyone would believe that? This
Okay, here he is. He wrote it. Here he puts up this tweet. Origin of life research is a scam. Somebody says, why? He says, because no one is really trying to actually answer the question or thinks it can be done.
Okay, so
There it is, Lee Cronin.
yeah, an origin
He's
of life
sitting in his office
researcher
tweeting this stuff.
An origin
This
of
is what
life
I'm talking
researcher
about.
is admitting that his entire body of work is meaningless. That is really
No, he's not saying
He's
his entire body of work.
being
He's saying
facetious,
he's come
and he's being
to a realization of this.
If we're being honest,
He's
slightly
come
arrogant.
he's come to a realization by looking at the data.
He
the
came to
material
Jesus.
must have come from
He came
outside
to Jesus,
the genome.
everybody. Yes, Lee Cronin is pretending all of his work and that of all of
He's
his
your
colleagues is
favorite
meaningless.
advisor.
James.
He's your man. Over and over again.
You wrote it on the
You gave him
board.
half of an entire
wrote it on
video,
the
Lee
board.
Cronin.
If I write not clueless,
Clueless.
does that win? James, you're bringing up synthetic biology because you refuse to engage with the actual research of systems chemistry, which is my next prompt. So we're
He's
gonna
the
talk
one
about
who
that.
said synthetic biologists can't do
He's
this.
a
Here's
synthetic
he says,
biologist.
He says,
He's
he
not an
says,
origin
and
of
even
life
today,
researcher.
synthetic biologists
He's
cannot make a
building
cell from scratch.
mimics of current extant life.
Yeah,
He's
nobody can
trying
do
to
this now.
build
Nobody's
a
good enough.
bacterium,
Nobody's
which is
good enough
not
for this.
directly
You ought to do
related
it,
to
Dave.
origin
Why
of
don't you
life
make it
research.
happen?
What do you
The
mean?
reason you don't do it because the reason
Oh,
you
fuck
think these
you,
guys have
James.
everything is
What the
because
shit?
You're very shallow in your understanding. You believe this
James,
nonsense
you
that they
can't
put
read
in
a
the title.
13C
It
NMR
said it in the
spectrum.
title, so it
You
has to be.
fumble every
I told you
single
the
paper
titles
you
are
touch.
hyped. They are hyped. Look at the data. I urged you in my opening statement. Look at the data.
Thousands of researchers, nothing but hype, and only James is right. That sounds really realistic, huh?
I'm done. I mean, yeah. You want to go on to the next one?
Yes.
I've got one more prompt, and that's it. So let's do that.
Oh,
one.
I've got plenty. I've got plenty.
Yeah,
I got
sure
plenty of barriers you got to get by.
Well,
The
we
last
don't,
one being assemble a
You
cell
just-
for me.
Your prompts are all just clueless because I say
so
so.
we don't have a
Clueless
lot
'cause
of
I say
time, so it really is going to only be one more
Okay.
volley.
All right. Okay.
Just
Well,
all right.
Dave,
So finally, we get to the most important concept that James is desperately ignoring. This is the one that debunks his idiotic straw man, where he wonders why nobody can synthesize a living cell. After all, if abiogenesis was some molecules floating together and boom, life exists, why can't scientists do it? Well, newsflash, nature also didn't do that. What current science suggests is that RNA molecules with catalytic properties called ribozymes came about And some of these became self-replicating. And then systems of RNA and proteins enclosed in vesicles complexified over millions of years until a protocell was formed. Of the mountain of relevant literature, here are just a few that show how ribozymes form cooperative cycles and networks, engage in self-sustained replication, and have been demonstrated to evolve by natural selection. James is allergic to discussing anything that invalidates one of his mantras: selection doesn't happen on the molecular level. This is objectively false, and it is the key phenomenon that led from systems of random biomolecules to the first living organism. In order to hand-wave away this research, James makes completely unsubstantiated claims, like how replicators can only copy 10% of themselves. Nope, fully self-replicating ribozymes were shown as early as 2002, in some cases exhibiting Darwinian evolution, with many other examples by various mechanisms since then. And as early as 2013, ribozymes catalyzed synthesis of RNA longer than itself. Every time James whines about aspects of modern eukaryotic cells that are a product of 4 billion years of evolution, like CISS, interactomes, or anything having to do with DNA whatsoever, he's just desperately avoiding this mountain of science. He's never read any of this literature. He can't even define the word autocatalysis, despite me having taught it to him. And why? Because self-replicating molecules that evolve by natural selection, that sounds just a little too relevant to the origin of life, now doesn't it?
Good reading.
Yeah, tremendous reading skills. I'm telling you, he's reading from his videos.
You
don't have to watch his videos. He just read it. The man cannot speak.
I guess the
chemistry.
research isn't real
He has
because I
people
wrote
writing
words
this
before
text for
reading
him,
them.
and he comes in here.
I guess research isn't real because Dave wrote
so
words
let me
and
answer
read
your
them.
question.
You
In
people
your
are
last,
idiots.
in your latest video, you said, because I say, well, why don't you just take a dead cell and bring it back to life? Because at least everything is kind of there. And he says, oh, you know, and he says, but it actually has been done. He actually says the words, it has been done.
James, why are you jumping to a completely different topic? We're talking about systems
because
chemistry.
we're talking about cells. We're talking about bringing this back to life. This man stood there and said that they took dead cells and they brought them
he's
back to
talking
life.
about something completely unrelated. Do you wonder why? Because he cannot address this research. Because he's talking about something totally different. He is a gish galloper, like Kent Hovind. Hey, look over here. We don't want to talk about this research.
You have to take that and apply it. You want to apply that, you have to bring, you said that they took dead cells because the pig was dead,
James,
and so the cells must have been dead too. Let me tell you what we do in our laboratory. We will take a rodent that is dead, take its leg, and keep the cells alive for a week. It was never dead. You said after an hour it came back alive. It was never dead, Dave. Totally misinterpreted that article, like all your articles.
But back to what I was talking about, do you agree that this research shows replicators that evolve by natural selection? Because it does.
No.
Do you?
No.
Oh, okay. So Gerald Joyce is a fraud. You're calling Gerald Joyce a fraud right now? You should be careful right now.
He doesn't copy DNA. How much of the DNA did he copy? You read the paper, I read the paper.
Fully self-replicating. Fully self-replicating.
No, he did not fully self-replicate it. There's not more than 10. Show me. You got the paper there. No, show it. No.
RNA enzyme, dude, these are completely fully self-replicating.
Without an enzyme, it has never been shown without an enzyme.
Do you know what self-replicating means?
Without an enzyme, it has never replicated more than 10% of itself.
An autocatalyst is a catalyst that makes itself.
Mr. Farina, you have the paper. Show us in the paper.
What do you mean, show you the paper? This is the paper that
you're pretending. Show me how much. Did he say that how much of it was copied?
Self-replicating. Fully self-replicating.
Not fully self-replicating. Not.
No.
It is not. Nobody has ever copied more than 10% without an enzyme.
But
I don't believe that.
But it is. Yeah. So let's see. We've got a lot of these. Where are they? Okay, well, I already showed them. Yeah, self-sustained replication of an RNA enzyme. Cross-replicating RNA enzymes undergo self-sustained
how much was replicated?
Huh?
How much was replicated? How much?
James, fully replicated.
It is not fully replicated. No way. There is no way.
What we're seeing right now
Jack
is
Sostek.
James
I asked Jack how much of this is replicated. It is not fully replicated. If
Yeah,
it was fully
you're lying.
replicated, he
It's-
would have said
it's
fully replicated. It is not.
20-fold amplification.
They take a long bit and they duplicate this much of it.
James, how would it retain
But
catalytic activity?
even if they could
Okay,
duplicate the whole
So,
thing, you're
James
still
is
stuck
baselessly
because you couldn't
denying
make
a body of work
polynucleotides.
and pretending that no one will notice,
Where did
and
the
pretending that you and
polynucleotide
hoping
come
you'll just
from?
believe him.
Where
We
did it
have
come from?
fully-
You couldn't make it. And you
Oh.
can't assemble a cell and you can't bring one back
Switch
to life.
something else, right? Switch to something else. Don't look at this research. Don't look at fully self-replicating molecules. I guess if I write clueless a bunch of times, I won the debate, right? Should I write not clueless? James, I've showed you prebiotically plausible routes to all of those
All of
molecules.
these you did not
and
show.
the
I asked
assembly
you
of a
specific
protocell.
chemistry. All you can do is write one word. You showed us
All
no
I can
chemistry
do is
because
write
you
one word.
understand
Every
zero.
time you go
understand
clueless,
none of it.
clueless.
Gentlemen,
You cannot address the research because you don't want it to be true, and we all know
I'm
why.
glad you have mind reading. In addition to all your talents, you can mind read now.
I guess Gerald Joyce is a fraud, huh?
gentlemen,
He didn't do it.
Gentlemen, this part of the debate has come to an end. If there is nothing else we can say, one thing we can say is that it has been a lively debate.
Yeah.
So let's give another round to our debaters for this session. But wait, there is time for questions. So if you have a question, you're going to have to queue up either on that side or that side, whichever
No,
side is
right back Right
whichever
there.
side is closest to you. And please, we only have a half an hour. Please limit your question to a single question. Moreover, that single question should take no longer than 30 seconds. We want to get as many questions in as possible.
I hope they ask my question.
Address your question to either Mr. Farina.
That
or
is
Dr.
if they do the
Tor.
online
Each of them
questions.
will have 1 minute.
Hopefully
to
they
answer
address the online
question.
questions.
If it's addressed to both of them, it'll be 2 minutes total. If it's addressed to one of them, only 1 minute total. We don't have for dialogue in this part of the debate. We're going to start on this side, and then we're going to go back and forth.
Mr. Farina, you showed the formation of polypeptides. For the record, did the literature that you cited include examples of using unprotected amino acids that are functional with amino or carboxylic groups?
Yeah, I showed you the one by Powner.
I didn't see anything functionalized with amino
There
or
was no amino
carboxylic
acids
groups
there.
that
They
were
were
free.
unprotected. They were
No,
unprotected.
they were aminonitriles.
No, you're
Dr.
talking about a
Jordan.
completely different paper, James. You're talking about a different synthetic pathway to get peptides where he didn't go through amino acid condensation. I'm talking about a completely different paper where he did indeed get coupling and there was no interference from side chains, even lysine.
I didn't see you show that one.
We
The
talked
ones
about
that
it
you
multiple
showed them-
times.
You showed the ones without, you mentioned hydroxyl groups. You didn't show something unprotected with amino or carboxylate groups. So I just wanted for the record to confirm on that.
No, I did. That one.
Specifically to amino or carboxylate. You did mention about hydroxyl, thank you for that. But for the amino and carboxylate groups, which are very reactive and very important because they are in a
Sorry,
lot
guys,
of
I got a lot of
amino
slides here.
acids.
Can we make sure that these papers are
Here you go.
posted on
Okay.
this
Sorry.
YouTube
They're all on
video?
his,
The
they're all
most
on his
selective
channel.
peptide ligation that
on this
tolerates
video.
all proteinogenic side chains.
Yeah.
All.
Now my
all
answer to
proteinogenic
that
side chains.
is, thank you, what she said.
Right.
Next
Thank
question.
you for reminding us about the paper I showed that does answer the question.
Next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Tor, firstly, can I write my question on the blackboard?
You have
No, there's
30 seconds for your question according to the
okay.
moderator.
So if it seems like you keep on saying that we don't know X, we don't know X. So what is your current scientific hypothesis as to the origin of life? And if it's not God, how is that, or if it is God, how is that not a God of gaps?
Scientifically, I have no idea. To say you have no idea doesn't mean that you're saying God of the gaps. Imagine a man in the year 1700. You ask him, are we going to have space flight? How on earth could he even know that? There was no flight at all, let alone space flight. Are we going to be able to land a man on the moon? He can't say. I am like a man standing in 1700 and you're saying, can we put people on the moon and bring them back? I have no idea. That is not God of the gaps to say you don't know. Everybody wants to say God of the gaps because they want to say that they're very close. And this is why these guys say that they're going to get it in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. And it keeps not happening. And these guys are getting old and they're retiring. Benner keeps talking about his retirement. They're all going to die of old age before this thing is found. Their students are going to die of old age before we find this because we're very far away. Because each year the cellular target gets further away because we learn more about the complexity of even the simplest of cells.
Next
I
question.
don't know.
So my very brief response would be James doesn't know how life began. So there is a gap in his knowledge, but he believes that God created life because of religious scripture. So that's the God of the gaps. You
So
can
God fills the
cry
gap.
about it all you want. That's what you believe. Sorry.
Please make sure that when you address your question, to say whether you're addressing it to either Mr. Farina, Dr. Tor, or both.
My question is for both Dr. Tor and Mr. Farina. It's simply put, what is one thing that they admire about each other's scientific career?
Okay, let me start. This man has said multiple times that I have called him stupid. I have never called him stupid because I don't think he's stupid. I have said he's clueless on this topic. I have said he cannot read the scientific literature. That doesn't mean stupid. This man has become a musician, and then he went out, and in 2015, he started an educational site, which is huge. The stupid people can't do that. I admire him. This is an educational site, and I have never called him stupid because he's not stupid. He's not stupid. So I admire him for his educational site. And from what I understand, I'm not a musician. From what I understand, what people have said, he's an excellent musician. I admire him for that as well. His wife is here. He's a father. He has 2 children. I admire that a man can have a wife and 2 children and stay married and do these things these days. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. I admire that.
I admire the tenacity with which you stick to a script of lies. It's actually quite impressive. I never said Dave was stupid. I just said his content is a manure dump. I just said everything he says is wrong. I said he's clueless. I said he doesn't know chemistry. Although, again, who's used my content to pass his class? Anybody here? That's what I thought, James. He doesn't know chemistry, yet I'm helping your students. Isn't that interesting?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like to retract any of these statements?
That
Or
you're
perhaps all of
clueless
them?
on origin of life? No. Does Farina know chemistry? No.
I don't know chemistry.
You have
I
a
don't know
script.
chemistry,
Anybody
yet I
can
have a
read a
very
script. You saw it tonight. The man could not speak without a script.
If he
has
didn't know
people
chemistry,
write
then
it.
he wouldn't know
You
what
could
to
do it.
cite.
You could do it.
When
You
you
could do it.
have
And then
2
put a
minutes
piece of
to
paper in
talk.
front of you.
You write and you speak.
Okay. Next
Efficiency.
question. Next
Efficiency
question.
means I don't know
he
chemistry.
Take it easy, Asa.
Next
Every
question.
time I ask him a question, he's going through his, let me see what I can find.
James,
here.
if you
The man
can't,
couldn't speak.
if you can't admit that every statement on there is complete bullshit, you are admitting your fraudulence
Gentlemen,
for everyone.
we
No,
want to make sure
I'm not withdrawing any of those.
we want to make sure people have
Those
a
who
chance
know-
to ask questions. Next question.
Dr. Tour, it seems like most of your critiques rest on so far unjustified assumptions. So I would like to give you the opportunity here to justify at least one of those assumptions. The very first one, your very first question to Dave, seems like you admit that you can form peptide bonds for some of the amino acids in aqueous solutions without protecting groups. You point out specifically lysine and arginine, and I would like to ask, why are you assuming that lysine and arginine and all 20 amino acids were there from the very first, the origin of life? Yeah, could you just justify that assumption for us? Why couldn't you have life from like just some of the amino acids that later
Spend
on
30
incorporate all
seconds.
20? Okay.
So my contest on the amino acid claims was he kept saying amino acids are simple to make in water. That's what he said in his series. But then, when challenged on that, he came out later and he said, when activated. When you activate them, they go from being zwitterionic to being non-zwitterionic. This is what I was getting at. So somebody coached him on this. Tour must be right on activation. Now, to your next question. Could there have been life with half of the amino acids? We have no idea. Even if I gave you half of the amino acids, now what? Now what? Let me tell you, because if you have 100 amino acids, the chances of getting anything with prescribed information is say you have half of them, is 10 to the 100th. Yes, it is. Now, the chances of that folding, a 100 mer, the chances of it folding are what? 10 to the 90. All right.
Okay.
So Leventhal paradox. So one form. But Leventhal paradox. No way. The vast majority do not fold.
Time is up
They
for
don't
that
fold.
question. Next question on this side.
So I was just wondering, what's your opinion on Tour just constantly yelling over you, not letting you speak, and just screaming the entire time? Okay, you could not say anything.
Hey, look at everyone
ruptured
doing
my
that right
eardrum.
now to the question, right? Yeah, you guys are all
Yeah,
on
and
the
that's really
same.
all I want to say. I just want to know why. Why do you think he's doing it? Why is he just yelling over you the entire time?
Well, the more he yells, the less I can say, and the less I can prove him wrong, right? It's a pretty obvious tactic.
Yeah. Glad someone in the
Next
audience.
question.
brought it
My,
up.
my question is for Tor. So I was just wondering, when it comes to
I see Aaron.
self-replicating
I see Aaron there.
ribosomes, which we talked about in step number 5, and there was a concept of if it was 100% or 10% or 20%. And so my question for you is, how could we set up an experiment to tell how much of a ribosome actually self-replicates, and so we can measure if it's 10 or 100, for example?
It's all been measured. These experiments have all been done. They will say they will make 7%. It's always less than 10. That's not to say it will always be
Aaron Raw is
less
there.
than 10.
Bullshit.
I presume that we will come to a time when somebody replicates a ribozyme. So what? Now how did you get this ribozyme? The first ribozyme, you have this 2-5 problem.
Goalpost
You can't make the
shifting.
ribozyme. You can't do a duplication until you make one. And so here we have it. We can't make the first one. I'm just asking you for the first one. That's all.
And it's
Not done. Clueless.
And it's weird that
First
Tour brought
fully
up the
self-replicating
Leventhal
ribozyme
paradox
was done
because
in
there's
2000.
been a solution
This is not new
to that.
chemistry.
It's not true.
It was Trifonov and
question.
Berezovsky.
Next
Trifonov and
question.
Berezovsky
This side.
brought that up. I've got the paper right here. Loop fold structure of
Let me
proteins,
note, I
resolution
wrote
of
my question
Leventhal's
out ahead of
paradox.
time, so I wouldn't have
So
I could be intentional with my words and not waste everybody's time rambling. Dr.
Thank
Tor, you spoke of making the charitable choice to treat your interlocutor as you would
Okay,
any
start
grad
over
student.
again. I
Sorry.
missed it.
Dr.
Say
Tor.
it more slowly.
Dr. Tor, you spoke of making the charitable choice to treat your interlocutor as you would any grad student. Considering the nature of your disagreement and the form of it, in the broader context of the relationship between students and advisors at academic institutions, what is the nature of this graduate student advisor relationship? And does this mean that you treat all of your graduate student mentees in the same manner as Mr. Farina?
that was savage.
I often confront my graduate students. Often. If you don't like the way I teach, you don't have to work in my group. But I train them very, very well. If they're going to speak nonsense, I will challenge them every time. If they're going to speak nonsense, I challenge them every time. This is education. If it bothers you to be educated, then that's you and your generation. But I'm telling you, this is the way we educate. We challenge people and we challenge them to do well, and we will maintain those standards. And in my laboratory, in my group meetings, we will maintain those standards.
Wow, the dude is unfucking hanged.
Would you say any of these things to your graduate students?
Next question.
Thank you both for tonight. My question is for
Aaron's
Professor
next.
Dave. Since Dr. Tour's worldview was a major part of your argument, I'm curious to ask about your worldview. Coming from a more materialistic view of the world, a naturalistic view, a debate presupposes the ability of people to actually think rationally. And I know someone might be tempted to say right now, well, there was much rational thought in this debate. But setting that aside, what do you actually think people are capable of thinking rationally if ultimately all that exists are cells in our brains that react chemically with no meaningful difference from
30
indigestion?
seconds.
And
Can people think rationally if the
rational
world
thought-
is
How
materialistic?
is rational thought possible in a naturalist worldview?
We have brains, and the way brains work. I mean, I don't. You're trying to pretend that rationality presupposes divinity or something? Is that what you're doing?
Correct, yes.
So no, I reject that. We exist. We have rational thought. We can observe these things. There's no evidence that a God exists, so we can try to explain it physically.
A legitimate professor in the live chat. I will get to all those super chats here soon. But
so, I mean, I just don't know what to say.
Legit PhD.
We have no evidence
yeah.
that God exists, yet we can use reason.
Okay,
we've been
we're
elucidating.
We're going to have to go to the next question.
Okay.
We're out of time. Next question.
Sorry, I'm kind of.
I thought Aaron was
just
next.
to,
Maybe
like,
not.
watch this debate.
Wow.
My biggest thing is, do you like? I'm talking to. Do you believe in free will?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. I think I do. No, I don't have a very strong.
So when you say you don't
opinion
know,
on
does
it.
that mean there's a God of the gaps there?
Dr. Tour.
No,
Yeah,
it's
Tor, shut your
because I
fucking
don't
mouth.
know. But thanks for jumping in there, James. It definitely feels like I do. But then again, I understand, like, you know, the idea of just like responding to stimuli in a mechanical way. I feel like a fly doesn't have free will, or a bacterium certainly doesn't. So I don't know at what point free will would emerge. What I do know is that if there's an omnipotent, omniscient God who knows everything you do before he's even created you, you factually do not have free will. So I know that.
It is a logical contradiction. Exactly. If this entity exists, we don't have it. Oh, here we go.
My question is for Professor Dave. In one of your videos, you stated, how about this approach from Bruce Lepschitz of UC Santa Barbara? He's a synthetic organic chemist just like you, James. He has devised some interesting methods of using to forming peptide bonds in water at room temperature. In response to this, Bruce himself, in an email to Dr. Tour, said, the video, and he's referring to the video you played of him, makes it very clear that he was referring to something done in a hydrophobic, which that means repellent to water, a hydrophobic pocket.
We're over 30 seconds.
And essentially, my question to you is, do you admit that it actually did not occur in water, but actually outside of water?
Yeah, and I also in that video said that his methodology is not prebiotically relevant. I was just getting a chemist to dunk on James. It's really funny.
Next question.
Like, if you want a clue, then we need a fact and evidence, right? So if we're talking about the origin of life and how this happens, one of the facts and evidence would be the combination of embryology and the molecular clock and the fossil record and so forth, and demonstrated observed evolution and everything, that we know that there's no vertebrates, no terrestrial vertebrates 300 million years ago. There's no land animals at all 400 million years ago. There's no vertebrates at all 500 million years ago, and so on. Protists at best are maybe 1 billion years ago, and prior to that,
we're at 30 seconds.
First microscopic anythings alive would be 3.8 billion years ago, and so there's nothing multicellular for that whole billion years. Wouldn't that be an indication that it happened, since prior to that there's nothing at all?
We are obviously here. So that we are here tells us that something happened. What we are trying to discern is how that might have happened. I don't contest that we're here. I don't contest that there were cells.
Not what he asked.
I don't know what you're getting at. That we are here
Yes,
already
you do.
tells us that this can be done. From immaterial, you get material. I think we all believe that. We all concede to that.
Next question.
Not going to answer the question. What the?
My question's for James Tour. So You made a very big deal earlier of the way that there are too many 2,5 linkages in non-enzymatically replicated RNA, but that is, of course, limited to the specific chemical non-enzymatic RNA replication mechanisms that we currently know about. So my question is, does it really seem so extremely unlikely to you that there is some currently unknown non-enzymatic process that yields fewer 2,5 linkages, or that early RNA were still able to form useful structures despite having more 2,5 linkages, or possibly both?
Okay, so certainly there might be chemistry out there that takes oligonucleotides and makes pure 3'5 unbranched RNA. Of course, there might 3'5 linked RNA. Of course, there might be that. What I am saying that as of today, we don't have it. That's all I'm saying. That's not to say that we won't identify that next year. But even if we have the RNA, it doesn't solve the problem. There's many other things that have to happen. You have to get a code to the RNA. The RNA is unstable. Now, most chemists, if you're a chemist, most chemists have never worked with single molecules. I have, because we do something called molecular electronics. When you have a single molecule of something, it doesn't last very long. The half-life of RNA at room temperature, let's say, is 100 days. It's generous. Let's say it's 100 days. If you have a 300 mer and the half-life is 100 days, the half-life of that one molecule is 100 days divided by 300. It's 8 hours. It's 8 hours. When you have the reason as chemists we can work with these compounds is because we have moles of them.
We're at 1 minute.
Dave doesn't understand this. He thinks because a peptide linkage lasts 7 years, that in a single molecule of a 300 mer, that's never going to break for at least 7 years. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. You have to take the half-life and bring it back to a probability. When you have one molecule of anything,
this is not your fucking classroom.
If you have a 200 mer of a polypeptide, that lasts 9 days.
It's incredible, the gish galloping. Take a look at this. Right, there are mineral surfaces that stabilize RNA and prevent degradation. So, also well researched. Just another example of James hiding from all the answers that he doesn't want to be there.
Next question.
No, that is on a surface that is not in water. It's not doing any reaction on that mineral. As soon as it gets in water, boom,
that
8 hours.
protects RNA
8
from
hours.
degradation.
8 hours.
They're using the phone as
That's
a timer.
No.
Next
James.
question, please.
No.
Dr. Tour, you've said in podcasts and YouTube videos that you do not claim God as an explanation for the origin of life, and say that one day science may be able to explain all of it.
I said that in my introductory statement.
However, many of your following believe that your criticisms of origin of life is evidence for God. Will you denounce this thinking?
Oh.
Criticism of origin of life is evidence for God. What did you say? What was the last part?
However, many of your following believe that your criticisms of origin of life is evidence for God. Will you denounce this thinking?
They can think whatever they stinking want to think. I'm not telling what people to think. If you think you should control what people want to think. I am telling you that just because we don't have an explanation for how life originated, I can't, as a scientist, say, therefore God made it magically happen and poofed it into existence. I can't say that as a scientist. That's all I say. I don't tell people what they can believe or not believe. That's up to them.
But
I don't. This isn't. I'm not the Lord here.
Yeah, but that is what you believe, and that's why you lie about science, to protect that belief.
Thank you. Boo! Boo! Sorry.
Next question, please.
That's the case.
Next question, please.
From learning from you two guys.
I don't know if they're going to get to
I wanted
online
be fair as a
questions.
Neutral. I wanted to be persuaded and convinced. Thank you, Dr. Tour, because not only have you reassured that my path is opening, that there are doors that still need to be open. Then from the fallacies, the mountain of fallacies that the gentleman next to you opened today, I wanted to see if there's a possibility for you to look into his cosmological work.
Wait, say that again. I missed.
I want you to please look at his cosmological work and analyze it the same way that you do your expertise, so that you can entertain how he bridges all those gaps and how he promotes a construct that is flawed not only in the ways that you're seeing, but in the others.
Please
so
ask your question.
Yeah, the question is just to please, if you give us the opportunity online to see you analyzing his work in cosmology.
What work in cosmology?
I'm sorry, I don't work in cosmology, but I can't learn another area. I'm sorry about that.
Do you like, you found my electric universe debunks and you don't like that or something? What oh, okay. So
Next question,
that's another
please.
debate.
Next question, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's all a bunch of frauds.
Something completely separate.
That's fine.
All right, my question is for Dr. Tor. Dr. Tor, given the significance of criticisms that you have on current research in the origin of life field, and given your prolific history of publishing, my question is, why aren't you publishing your critiques in reputable journals? Why are you...
That's a damn good question.
All right.
Where's the peer review, motherfucker?
Why are you denying the scientific community the benefit of your expertise? Why are you limiting your critiques to Discovery Institute publications and YouTube that the researchers you're talking about don't look at?
30 seconds is over.
Okay. First of all, it's very hard for me to publish a critique that is negative because it has to get through peer review. But that's not the main reason. There have been many critiques like this. So Bob Shapiro wrote critiques. Carnes Smith wrote a whole book on his critique of this. Clement Riker has more recently written his critiques, all of them speaking the same types of things that I am saying. These guys continue on as if it was never written. I am not trying to reach the origin of life researchers. I am trying to reach the masses. And
because you're fucking preaching.
Called social medium that is allowing me to reach the masses that never read the primary
because
literature.
You're not a fucking
I'm not
educator.
trying to convince the origin of life researchers. I am trying to show the masses that there is another way of looking at this data. I am going after the people that do not read the scientific literature. That, to me, is what I want to do. And just so that you know, I'm not a YouTube guy like this guy is. I sit in my office and I work
because
very
you
hard.
Get shit on.
I'll turn on my camera.
YouTube guy, buddy.
And my camera is on, and I forgot to have the sound turned on properly. It takes me hundreds of hours to do a series like that. I could certainly write articles in that amount of time. I've chosen to
I
use
can't
this
publish
medium.
my critiques because they're full of lies, so I'll lie to the public instead.
James Tour, 74.7 thousand subscribers.
Question? Go ahead and ask your question.
431 videos.
So my question is for both Dr. Tor and Professor Dave. My question is, I think that this debate has kind of strayed.
His channel's been around less than mine, and he's gotten 8 million views. So yeah, and he has more videos.
Life. So if both of you could, using examples from the primary literature, Dr. Tor, I'd appreciate it if you could explain why we are clueless beyond a doubt, that there is no, that we are clueless about the origin of life. And Professor Dave, I'd like you to explain why we are 100% not clueless about the origin of life.
Okay, you go first. Go ahead.
So really, James, all he can do is just write the word clueless a bunch of times. So we're not, right? All this research we've been talking about, despite his objections, we do have prebiotically plausible synthetic pathways to all of the important biomolecules and systems chemistry. It's only been going about 20 years, but again, he pretends the research doesn't exist. I would like to point out he made a 10-hour series about abiogenesis and never brought up replicators once. What more proof do you need how clueless he is and how much he is hiding from this research? We certainly would never say we know exactly how life began. That would be ridiculous, but we are far from clueless. We have a mountain of research. For James to train people to say that we've never done anything since Miller-Urey in the 50s is the most insane lie imaginable. It's been 70 years of incredible research, especially in the past 20, what we've been doing with systems chemistry. It's astounding work. Will we ever figure out exactly how life began? Maybe not. Honestly, probably not. But it's only because we have so many ways it could have happened.
He's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
we just don't know specifically which one.
All that astounding work for 70 years. 70 years of Nobel Prizes, both in chemistry and physiology and medicine, which includes biology. That's 70 times 3 with 2 Nobel Prizes. So
That's irrelevant.
You've got 210, 420 Nobel Prizes have been given since Miller-Urey was discovered. 0 have been given for
cares?
origin of life. 0.
Who
All this
cares?
wonderful chemistry. 0. 420. 0. None have been given. You don't want me
Science
to
isn't
say
real if
clueless?
you don't get a
I
Nobel.
won't say clueless. How about I just agree with Cronin? Scam. How's that? Because you can't answer this. You can't answer that. So I say
You
we're
are
clueless
witnessing
on this.
the
That's why.
unraveling of a lunatic.
Okay.
Okay, well, this concludes the question and answer session.
Oh, come on.
But you're in luck. Both
Online.
individuals have agreed to stay on. If you want to come up and ask further questions, maybe engage in more debate if you haven't had enough.
Online questions.
But
We don't know who's cheering for who, I guess.
so travel safely back. If you want to come up, again, they'll stay for a while and answer any
I
individual
want my
questions you
question
may have.
answered.
Thank you and good night.
Boo. All right. That was the amazing debate. That was intense. That was wild. That was the debate between Dave, Professor Dave, and of course James Tour about the origins of the science of the origins of life. Yeah, Dave. I think we're going to agree with that. Dave took that single-handedly. He won that bad boy. That was wild. God, that was fucking crazy. That was just a lot of that. A lot of what James did. A lot of what James put out there was fucking cringe. Which was just, I don't understand. Like, as far as an educator goes, that's really insane. So let's go ahead and do this. So first and foremost, I have a bunch of chats that I want to get to, and a bunch of like starred things that I want to address, and then a lot of super chats. So let me go down this list. I've got 27 that I want to get through before any more stack on top. Jefferson Spatchcock is absolutely my pleasure. Unlocked says give us highlights. I will do my best. So first and foremost, let me just go down the starred list real fast, and I'll get I want to address the super chats now that we have time. So Best in Show says, do you know if King Xerxes will return? So I do not know what the status is of King Xerxes. I don't know like what he's doing or what's going on with his life. I know he had personal things he had to go and contend with. There is obviously some problems going on, some issues in the community right now because a lot of transphobic stuff came out that King Xerxes, a lot of transphobic comments and commentaries that King Xerxes engaged with has recently come out. I don't know if he'll return anytime soon, but I can say this, that the kind of tsunami of backlash is kind of mounting against him before he does return. I don't know if he will or if he'll address it, but this stuff kind of came out recently, and it was disturbing to me. While there's many things that Xerxes and I agree on, this is something we obviously do not agree on at all. We also there's other things we don't like. He's pro life, I'm pro choice, so on and so forth. So there's things that we don't agree on, but this very much came out very, very bad. It was just the optics are not good. So I don't know what Xerxes' status is. Maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. For JP3030 for $5 Freedom says, I can't tell if Tour is better or worse than Hovind, given his actual credentials. That was pretty goddamn bad. That was a terrible showing, absolutely bad. At least his credentials are legitimate and Hovind's are fake. At least we can give him that credit. Aaron Reese said, I'd scream if Dave was fucking me that bad in front of an audience too. Probably. Agree, Aaron Reese. Jefferson Spatchcock for $9.99 says, don't go to college, Texas kids. It's gotten progressively worse thanks to Greg Abbott and his bullshit and the Texas legislature. So it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse. I have no doubt we're looking at it's a growing Gilead situation at minimum in Texas, possibly here in Oklahoma too. So JPP 3030 says for $5, does this debate constitute evidence that there is not a merciful God, at least not the one Tor believes in? I would say that the biggest issue that it comes out of this that never got addressed was that does James Tor believe, and this was my question, for anybody who was wondering, this was the question I submitted online. Does James Tor believe that abiogenesis and the God he believes in are mutually exclusive? And if so, can he show the logical contradiction? And of course it's a setup, okay? Because one, those two concepts are not mutually exclusive, as has been explained by Dr. Francis S. Collins of the National Health Institute of Bethesda, and of course head of the Human Genome Project. And there is no logical contradiction. So yeah, it was a setup, but I wanted to see him try and reconcile that if they asked that, but they did not. So I feel kind of cheated. Let's see. John Rapp says, bridge the divide. Hopefully not, but Tor seems like he may have to demonstrate the chemistry of nitroglycerin on the human heart if he gets more rageful. That's true. If that man doesn't have angina, I have no idea. But let me see here. Kiwi says, James only has personal attacks now, LOL, whereas Dave is using evidence to point out James' incompetence. Absolutely. That's what he was having. Let's see. Laura Rader says, I'm starting to get why so many evangelical preachers scream. It helps confuse the audience into thinking you actually said something worth hearing. Absolutely. It is an absolute tactic. Jefferson Spatchok says, good old-fashioned Texas garbage fire. It absolutely was. It truly was. Charlie Welch said, this is like modern-day debate-style moderation. Absolutely non-existent. That moderator pissed me off. Something fierce. That moderation was bullshit. Aaron Reese said, what the fuck part of no dialogue isn't clear to Tor? The man's got to interrupt because he admitted it himself. He's a fucking preacher. He is not an educator. It's literally what he does at Rice, obviously, is in order to maintain his position, because if he starts preaching like that, they're going to boot him. So he can't just start making claims like that. So he lays the foundation for the shit that he spouts when he's off campus or when he's off hours. He's got to preach. He's got to jump in there. Kiwi said, best owned since Voice Critical and Sneeko. Fuck yes. This was hilarious. It absolutely was. PhD Tony for $5 Australians says, Tor is spouting bullshit. He absolutely fucking is. Just right. He is off the seat of his pants. And when he tries to go off the cuff, that's when he's the worst. Jefferson Spatchcock says, Aaron has a lot of pets. Some scary things. He does. He does have a bunch. Marcus Dresden says, funny how Tor has clueless in his background and Dave is the opposite. Funny how it worked out that way, you know? Ugly German Truth says, bridge the divide. Too bad nobody asked Tor how a God that is bodiless and eternal learned how to make chemicals and fold proteins. Yes, asking for the mechanism would be deeply problematic. He would simply say that we don't know. PhD Tony for $5 Australian said, this is grotesquely unprofessional, and in my school, he would be fired for repeatedly yelling at students. Yeah, agreed. He is a grotesquely unprofessional educator. I don't know why he is still working there. This was an abominable debate on his behalf. He came off as unhinged, yelling at his interlocutor, moderating the moderator. This wasn't a debate. This was his this was a platform for him to preach. That's what this was. Ox said, and all this talk helps feed how many starving kids? How many veterans does this help? This was interesting. Okay, this was very, very interesting. I wanted to address this from Ox because there is a line of logic here, okay? So feeding starving kids, helping like veterans, okay, whether it be with adjustments to the VA or homeless vets and stuff like this, which are both very, very serious problems in the world today. So the sorry, let me go and stop. Yeah, I'm gonna stop that screen. There we go. So how does this help? How does something like this help? Because irrational beliefs tend to lead to irrational behavior. Individuals, what believing in things like a God does, like this entity that has a plan and everything is designed and everything's going in a specific way. What that does psychologically to people is it gives them the opportunity to eschew their responsibilities for both their actions and their inactions. In other words, predominantly their inactions. In other words, I can't do anything. I feel like I can't do anything, or it'd be too difficult for me to do something, or it's too risky for me to do something. So therefore, or I can't afford to do something. Therefore, it's in God's hands. It's in God's hands. God has a plan. God works in mysterious ways, to kind of paraphrase that one. But when it comes down to it, what God ultimately does from a societal perspective is it allows the control of our lives to be handed over to something else. That means that we are not 100% responsible for all of our actions and all of our inactions. We can put it off as something that was intended or by design or there must be a reason this takes place. So it is not for us to dictate that the plan is wrong. This is a detrimental psychological effect on our society. So shutting down Tour's bullshit, having these debates is important because it gets us one step closer to achieving a society that eschews religious ideological nonsense in favor for the fact that we hold the reins to our very futures, that feeding starving kids, helping veterans, solving the societal problems that ail us to today that we can't seem to get a fucking wrangle on. I mean, we have got people in Congress who literally fight against climate change legislation because they believe it's a waste of money and they think that Christ is coming back in their lifetimes. This is the kind of shit that we deal with. Having these conversations is one step in the right direction. It's not going to get us all the way there, but it will be a step in the right direction. The question then is, can theists look at themselves and say that starving children around the planet, veterans that desperately need help, that need homes, that need mental health assistance, that need some kind of assistance, okay, something to help them, can theists look at themselves and say that that was by their God's design? That's the fucking question. So yes, in time, that in order to get the big solutions we need to have these baby steps, and those baby steps include conversations like this. McKinnon, good to see you, bud. I'm sorry I didn't make it to your live stream because I was live streaming this, but thanks so much for popping in. I'm glad you were here. Let me see here. Tesla Radio said if he did publish, he would get torn apart even more. He absolutely would even get shredded in peer review. John Raps to bridge the divide. There's reading and there's comprehension. There absolutely is. Ed Luckenbill says he just gave himself away with what he's doing. He absolutely was. He's just a fucking preacher. That's what he's doing. Blue Moon says Tour's applause has been dying gradually. I did notice that. His applause was slowly getting quieter. Hank says, is Rice University proud of employing this bloviating fuckstick? Maybe, I guess. And PC Tony says, for 20 Australians, says, when you submit to a journal, you get to suggest reviewers and nominate people who should be rejected as reviewers. If he can't get past peer review, it's because he doesn't know two other chemists who thinks he's right. PC Tony is a motherfucking savage, man. I fucking love PC, and that is amazing. It's amazing to point out. WebB says the online questions were the real scam. I feel scammed because I didn't get my question asked. I'm a little annoyed by that. Let me see here. Did Otangelo pop into the chat? Let me see here. So also want to a huge congratulations to everybody in the live chat. You guys unlocked 2 emojis. You unlocked the evidence ape emoji, and I made this one specifically for this live stream, the Dave Nuke emoji. So I hope you all enjoy that one. I made that one special because of this, because Dave was amazing. Let's say Gray Fox said Dave won over the audience. He absolutely did. McKinnon said, zero, you have nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. That shit was funny. This was yes, Rembrandt. This was a Bambi versus Godzilla contest. It absolutely was. In Dave's Boris Kuduko says in Dave's introduction, I think Tour actually cried. He got hot quick. He got pissed fast, and that's pretty sad. Rembrandt says, yeah, Dave murdered him as expected. He absolutely did. Somebody call the fucking coroner because Dave fucking slaughtered this cat. Dave murdered him. Dave murdered James Tour, which is fucking Dave Farina is a murderer, is a savage. Beat him with a stick. Did Otangelo pop in here? I didn't see it. Somebody's trying to summon Otangelo. Oh, I see. Marcus Dresden's trying to summon Otangelo. Ed Otangelo. Is Otangelo here? I didn't see him here. Let me scroll down to the bottom. I didn't want to miss anybody's stuff. Let me go all the way back down. Yeah, there we go. So check out all the Dave Nuke emojis. I hope you guys like the Dave Nuke emojis. Dave aside is what that was. Let me see. Peach Tony said, I may get to travel next year. Fucking awesome. That's amazing. Dave brought humor. Tour brought anger. Absolutely. He absolutely did. I didn't know that, I didn't see if Otangelo was in the chat, if we're just like using his name, because there is an Otangelo emoji. So definitely, I think looking up this, so essentially, in the earlier back and forth that Tour and Professor Dave were having, basically by a video back and forth. In those videos, Tor would keep bringing up, or he'd keep misrepresenting chemistry, or he'd bring up things that he thinks are not actually evidence, and then to essentially push the position that we have no idea what's going on in Orange Life, that the whole field is just a joke, that it's just a scam. And Dave would respond by calling him an idiot and say, boom, here's all the fucking evidence. And that's essentially what we got here. Like what happened on stage was a repeat of that. Tor basically put up 5 things that he says that these were the issues. And then he just repeated that as he's done in previous videos. And Dave came back and said, no, I've explained how you're wrong on all these. Here is all the data. And then he said, you're not a chemist. Doesn't matter. If Dave Dave is a chemist. He teaches chemistry. And like he's noted, that there are students of Tor's that use Dave's videos to pass his class. So Professor Dave explains, not the beer debunker guy. Not the beer guy. Ugly German True says there was an account named Otangelo here, but somebody meant that was a fake. Okay, gotcha. Let me see. Randomly speaking, my absolute pleasure. Dave Zilla versus Jimby. It absolutely was. This was fun randomly. Thank you so much for hanging out. John Rapp says, I think Dave Savages did really well to expose Tor's unhinged and one-eyed rationality. Absolutely. Tor got wrecked. Oh, dude, I'm looking at the Dave Nuke. The Dave Nuke emojis, those look amazing. Those just look amazing. Those are just fantastic. Jesse Lee, this was amazing. Tor is a beta. The real Jesse Lee Peterson would never say that, because Jesse Lee Peterson hates, the real JLP hates Dave, because Dave made him look like an idiot. But Tor was just, this is the problem with religious ideologies. Religious ideologies, cement us into a particular way of thinking, and then we wind up essentially doing what Eric Hovind said once. And what Eric Hovind talked about very much was he looks at it from a top down, that the top is that the presupposition that God exists, like that God exists and that is a fact, and then you interpret all of the evidence below that in order to justify the initial claim, and that this God exists, which is the wrong way to do it, and that's not how you do science. So because Hovind will chastise the bottom-up procedure, in which we look at the evidence and we form a conclusion based off the questions that we ask and the tests that we do and the confirmations that we get. So it's bad science, is what it is. At minimum, it's bad science. At worst, it's evangelism masquerading as education, which I don't know why this man is still employed. This was a fucking embarrassment. Turing Test for 10 pounds says, thank you so much for the super chat. Turing Test says, James should have taken the loss the first time Professor Dave shot him down. He's really embarrassed himself by keeping this going. He absolutely has. And I cannot wait to hear the comments on this and see the other. I want to see what other people are going to be, their other responses when they break this shit down. It's going to be a shit show. They're going to tear apart Tor. Him drawing on that board is, I think someone else mentioned in the live chat, him drawing on that board is going to be the end, literally going to be his worst enemy. They're going to turn that shit back on him. So I can't wait to see that. Skeptic Dank for $1.99. Thank you so much. And Ref had to step into the end to save Tor's life. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we didn't want Tor having a heart attack in the middle of it. Logan Salmon said, I used to look like Willie Nelson. Then I got an epic beard like J.L. Warren. Fuck yeah. What do you think? PhD Tony, fellow beardsman, what do you think so far? How's it coming along? Looking good? Let me know. I got to ask fellow beardsmen. And of course, I think, Eric Hovind official was up in here. Oh, holy shit. Very cool. Eric. Yes, I am. Yes, I was talking about you. In fact, I have a 2-part video coming out about you very, very soon, Eric. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I have a 2-part video that breaks down a bunch of the stuff that you talk about, some of the individuals that you're talking about. And that's going to be really, really good. Holy shit. Eric Hovind official was up in here. I feel seen. Because none of the big names really pay me attention. My channel's too small. But I do have a 2-part video coming out about Eric Hovind, a lot of the arguments that he makes, and explaining exactly why they're wrong and why his approach to science is incorrect. And of course, breaks down, the misrepresentations and the bad arguments, literally the fallacious arguments that he makes. Predominantly, actually, I'll post this to Eric Hovind official right now. Eric Hovind official. I don't know if you're still here. I hope he's here. But if he's here, I want to post this to you right now. Because I asked this question online. I submitted this question for the Farina tour debate, and it didn't get asked. They didn't ask any online questions. But I'll ask you this now. Do you believe that abiogenesis / evolution and your God are mutually exclusive? And if the answer is yes, can you show the logical contradiction there? So one more time, Eric Hovind, do you believe that abiogenesis / evolution and your God, specifically your God, are mutually exclusive concepts? And if the answer is yes, can you show the logical contradiction there? That should be, I think I delivered that slow enough for him to grasp that. Web B for 5 says, thanks for hosting this. Your content's been great. My name's just Web. Oh, Web. Okay, cool. Web. Very cool. Sorry, I was reading it grammatically, but yes, Web. Thank you very much, Web, for the $5 Freedom Dollars. Do appreciate that. You rock. Thank you so much for the super chat there. I love how StreamYard auto stars them now. That makes me very fucking happy. Now I don't have to go hunting for them anymore. Ugly German Truth says, sadly, I cannot stand long waving hair and keep my own chin pubes below a quarter inch. But Sandvito is trying to tell you how he loves your beard and wants tips for growing his. So, okay. Growing hair, especially like facial hair, genetics plays a major role. Now, genetically, my ancestry goes back to Germany and, of course, Scotland and Ireland. So Scotch-Irish, essentially what we call it. So basically Germany and the Isles. Now, my shit can't get, I don't think that genetically my beard can get like Gandalf length, because everybody's hair can grow to a certain length. Eventually, at one point, it will stop growing a certain length. It'll just like fall out, and the follicles will fall, and then you'll just grow more hair. So, but eventually, there's a point where the hair does stop growing, as determined by your genetics. So, the key is like you grow it out as long as you can, but the key to this is maintaining is literally just beard care. Your beard requires, I would say, more intensive care than your head hair does, because you eat around this. So there is going to be an increase in the bacteria and other shit that gets into your beard, food particles and other stuff, because people touch their mouths. Then if you don't wash your hands, you're talking about fecal material and shit like that. So beard care is the most important, which means washing it damn near daily, maybe every other day. So washing it daily, making sure it's conditioned, brushing it out, and occasionally using hair treatment in order, because some people's hair comes in like straight and soft. Sometimes it's very woolly. Like mine is wavy. Some people's comes in straight. So it really depends upon your genetics. But definitely beard care is what's important. And of course, if you know how to, you can get more volume depending upon what conditioners and what shampoos you use. And of course, brushing it is key as well to keep the tangles out, because it will naturally tangle, and then it'll look shorter than it actually is. Ronaldo says my beard is hitting God length. I'm giving you beard advice. So if I came for the atheism, stayed for the beard care. Fuck yeah, Webb. Absolutely. It's something that I learned the hard way. And dyeing your facial hair, problematic. I would say problematic in the, dyes will do crazy shit to your facial hair. So yeah. Excellent beard care tips. So yeah, find a shampoo and find a conditioner that work for you for your beard type. If you happen to be like really, really woolly and thick, or if it happens to be pretty sparse and straight, but your beard will grow. Just let it grow out. But your genetics determines the length of it and how full it comes in. My beard comes in extremely full. It comes in really, really full, but that's just because of my ancestry. So it really depends on where you come from. Yeah. Never dye your face. I would recommend not dyeing your facial hair. I did it for a while to kind of promote certain things, but I realized I could keep the integrity of my beard and just talk about them. So Javier Hara, good to see you. Javier says, Bridge the Divide. Hey, JL, this is a line from Dave Ray. I came here to kick ass, chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Hail Sagan. Fuck yes. Hell yes. That was brutal. That was fucking brutal. Hey, Facty, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I don't know if that was the real Eric Hovind. Oh, Eric Hovind official. I suspected as much. Oh, Eric Hovind official is going to go for it. Okay, gotcha. Damn. I wanted to answer that question. AR for $5 freedom is that question to Tour about why he didn't publish his critiques in reputable journals. Devastating, showing he only plays to a favorable crowd. Absolutely. That was a savage fucking question. And the look on his face was fucking priceless. It was priceless. Loved it, man. Absolutely loved it. All right. So I was thinking about doing a poll as to who won. Oh, I got trolled. Yes, unlocked. Yes. Yeah. Fucking, Peter trolled me. He absolutely trolled me. I got trolled. But it is a question I would pose to Eric Hovind if he had the balls to actually talk to me. It is a question I would pose. So, but, yeah, I don't think that there's a poll is necessary. I think it's pretty much in agreement. Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Peter. You're good. But I think it's pretty much a unanimous agreement that Dave pretty much schooled that. And the fucked up thing is that Tour lost it by his behavior, by his freaking out, yelling at yelling at Dave, yelling at the moderator, yelling at the audience, and then of course moderating the moderator, which was fucked up. Tour was out of his element. He went in pissed. He went in angry, and I think the whole plaque thing, or the thing that he gave Dave, was an attempt to throw Dave off. Like, oh, I'm going to give him a gift. It's going to totally throw him off, which it did not, which it demonstrably did not. So, yeah, this was, I think that Tour got embarrassed on this one. I think pretty much everybody agrees. Yes, McKinnon Mitchell, you are correct. James, you're out of your element. Grimskeptic says, how many jokes do I have to make to hit 100 subscribers in this TubeUbe? Lots of jokes. It takes time. Jeffrey Howell says, Dave didn't school shit. Dave went in arrogant, didn't know shit about the actual science. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, Jeffrey Howell. Okay. So Dave didn't school shit. Dave went in arrogant and didn't know shit about the actual science. So Dave did explain the actual science. He cited all the papers. The papers are all available as well, because Dave is all about the dissemination of information and not about gatekeeping. So yes, Dave understands what he's talking about. The finer details of all of his stuff is all in his videos on his channel. So you can literally walk through the nuances there. Dave was supposed to be debating against someone who understood what these things were, but obviously does not, or refuses to engage with them on equal terms, because Tour has a specific narrative he's pushing. So Dave came in confident, not arrogant. Okay, maybe Dave does do some satire. Dave does rely on comedy, and Dave will take the piss out of somebody, but that's not arrogance. Dave is very confident and very knowledgeable in these things. And he does know a lot about their science because he fucking teaches it. And students of Tours use Dave's videos to help with his classes. So I don't know what you want there. And I do know what the fuck I'm talking about. So if you don't like it, there's many other channels. You can go back to the echo chambers you want, or you can go back to the cave. I don't give a fuck. The evidence was right there on the screen. Your God doesn't exist. I can literally demonstrate that the Christian Abrahamic God does not exist. There's no defeater for deism, but your Christian Abrahamic God is not a thing that can exist. It legitimately can. It is a logical contradiction. It is a violation of the structure of our reality. It cannot exist. It's like literally believing that a one-ended stick can exist. Okay? Or like you could walk up a building, and if you believe hard enough, you could fly. It's not logic. It doesn't logically follow. I'm sorry. Let me see here. Ugly Number 2 says, well, now you have the next quote for your YouTube channel banner or t-shirt with that. Came for the atheism, stayed for the beard care. I like that. I didn't put that on a shirt. It's a good idea. Thank you, Ugly German Truth. You rock. That's okay, Unlocked. You can check it out. Here are Tour's mouth breathing groupies. They've got nothing. They literally don't. I went to T school after finally graduating with a Bachelor of Science. That's what he needs. It doesn't defeat. Okay, just because you're you're calling him an arrogant moron. You have no evidence to support that because he knows what he's talking about. He went to teach school after finally graduating with a Bachelor's of Science. That's what he needs. If he didn't want to pay for the master's, that's fine. Okay, or maybe he can't afford it just yet, but he can teach with a bachelor's and he knows what he's talking about. So you have no evidence for your claim, and not to mention, you pointing out he has a Bachelor of Science is literally irrelevant to whether or not his claims are true. And his claims are true, and they're backed by peer-reviewed research, none of which Tour's is. Tour has no peer review backing whatsoever. None. Dave does. Or Dave's work, the works that Dave is citing does. Unless he wants to be a teacher. And no, not everybody knows that, Jeffrey Heil. Everyone knows that those who go on to teach right after graduating were shit in their studies. I call PhD Tony to the stand. I call motherfucking PhD Tony to the stand. Oh, Joshua Lee, good to see you. I see there's 147 people in the chat. Plothole, I see you. Keith M, I see you. Joshua Lee, I see you. John Rapp, I see you. There's a lot of people. I try to catch people as I see them. So the Plothole puts the hole in the plot. He absolutely does. Oh, there's another one. Tour absolutely. No, we did. If you have to scream at your interlocutor, you've lost. Tour lost. Tour not only lost, he was fucking embarrassed. He was embarrassed. I'm a fraud. I'm providing commentary, man. Dave's the one who did the work. Dave's the one who had the work cited. Dave's the one who brought the research. Tour brought nothing but his fucking ego. PhD Tony says, I personally have learned a lot from Dave. Fuck yeah. Hey, Plothole, good to see you, bud. Yeah, had this going on. It was, Jeffrey, you're as much of a bitch as Dave with your bullshit rhetoric. Sorry your God doesn't exist. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your worldview is false. What do you want me to do for you, man? I can't Band-Aid. I can't put a bandage on that and kiss it, make it better. Your worldview is false. You have no evidence to back up your claims. Your fucking idol Tour is a goddamn dipshit, and he embarrassed himself to dude who has a bachelor's in science. You shouldn't follow creationists. Co-parter, bitch. I'll call you straight out like that. You can call me a bitch, I'll call you a bitch. Co-parter, motherfucker. I'm sorry. My bad, your life is worthless of your beliefs. Not really. There's a vast amount of worth in my life. You know why? Because I built it myself. Because I have the woman that I love. I have the family that I've built. I have this house that I fucking own, that I've worked for. Everything you see around you is the fruits of my fucking labors. And guess who did it? Me and the people who facilitated my success because they believe in what I'm doing. All the fine individuals you see in that live chat right there. I don't care if there's 10 of them or 10,000 of them. The fine individuals in this live chat are fucking amazing, and they have facilitated my success because they believe in the work that I'm doing. If that's all you got, man, take it back to the cave. And if you probably don't know what that reference is, read Plato. Tasselaredo, you are super fine. And I love you. Thank you so much. Oh, man. Uneducated idiots attack educators. See, I don't go chemistry because I was terrible at OChem because I'm not great at math. That was what I thought. I'm not fantastic at math. My brain just doesn't work that way. I understand mathematics, but I'm just upper region, like beyond calculus and beyond trigonometry, because I was better with shapes, but especially like triangles, mathematics triangles, but calculus and going like that, I had difficulty with. So I was more in philosophy and more, I guess you'd call it liberal arts and that, philosophy, sociology, psychology, psychiatry, those areas. So there it is. I guarantee little bitch-ass atheists like you wouldn't run your sucks in real life like this. I fucking do all the time, Jeffrey. All the time. All the time. It is literally my job. And you know what? And just to throw this one for you, Jeffrey, I throw out the invitation for theists to come here and talk to me about what they believe and why all the goddamn time. And guess what? They rarely ever take me up on it. They rarely ever do. Okay? I would drive out. If I had the time, I would head out to California and I would engage Ray Comfort on his own terms. But guess what? I'd have to record it myself because Ray he'll only put white belts up on his channel. He won't put someone up who knows what the fuck they're talking about, like me, or say like Jefferson Spatchcock in the chat, or like PhD Tony in the chat who can call them out on this on their fucking bullshit. I am legit the same in real life as I am here. 100%. This is not an internet facade. This is fucking me. Whew. Like me, I would not have been good up on that stage. I would have literally told James, like, if you could shut your fucking mouth for a minute, let me speak. So oh, Jeffrey has a BS in biotech. Dave doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Then go debate Dave. What the fuck are you debating me here for? My background is in forensic psychology, you jagoff. Let's see. PhD Tony says, Dave, again, if Tour had any valid objections, he would publish them in peer-reviewed literature. He cannot do that because he is demonstrably wrong. 100%. Facty, no, I am not. Despite all rumors to the contrary, I am not 6'2". I am not 6'2". There's my mods. Dude, Jeffrey, don't piss my mods off, man. Don't piss my mods off. I was in the military, so therefore that makes me better and bigger than you. Get the fuck out of here. And actually, the fact that you were, I mean, not today. I mean, no, I'm not going to make that joke because we have a lot of fantastic veterans in here, and I do respect the veterans. But just because you chose to serve does not mean you have a better position than anybody else. Okay, you took it upon yourself to go out and fight for our rights. You to do whatever. You did your job. That's great. You're out. That's fantastic. Thank you for your service. But just because you served doesn't make your argument correct. It doesn't give you any more credibility. It just means you served. Some people choose not to for whatever reason. Some people can't for medical reasons. Step 1 to 5, God did it. That's pretty much what Tour's argument was. Yeah. Oh man, this was good. This was fantastic. McKinnon Mitchell says, as someone who was in the Army, trust me, simply being a soldier doesn't make you shit laughing my ass off. Do you know how many scrawny, wheezy ass fucks were in the Army? McKinnon, you are legend. McKinnon Mitchell, man. Fucking McKinnon Mitchell is legend. Fucking love this dude. Oh, man. I am so grateful to know McKinnon Mitchell. Okay. And have this gentleman, this scholar and a gentleman as tangentially connected to my life. I really am. The people that I know, I've been so lucky in being able to surround myself with amazing individuals like Johnny Over with the Plot Hole, like fucking PhD Tony. Yes, I will give credit to Irish Demon. Fucking McKinnon Mitchell is amazing. Gonna go for it. I couldn't possibly name them all. I'd be here all fucking night. So all the individuals who are in the live chat, individuals that have made this channel possible. Team Skeptic, I got to give credit to Team Skeptic for giving me the advice and for giving me the kind of kick in the pants to get this thing started and start doing this. And man, I wouldn't be here without these individuals. They're fucking amazing. Yeah, Ugly German Truth says, when he started to love his own clueless gag, he gave up on the debate. Pretty much, yeah. Big Kid is a scholar and gentleman in my life. I'm literally eating nachos in my underwear right now. I'm something of a scientist myself. Oh, fucking fantastic. Oh, so this was great. Jeffrey Heil might have either bounced or he might have gotten... Yeah, keep them. Rest in peace, Big Cat Schrodinger. Rest in peace to Schrodinger. I miss him. I only got to work with him once, which is a shame. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to have gotten to be on a stage with him one time and have a good conversation. We had a very good conversation. We did. Oh man, so that was intriguing. Agreed. This was not a good debate. Tour was not wise to engage Dave Farina. Yes. Let me see if you get this reference. Do not engage Lubu. Do not engage Lubu. Let me see. Jeffrey, who I guess some random god made him disappear. Apparently he did. All right. So that was an absolute fucking blast. So if you were just coming in, if you just popped in, I see we're kind of dipping and we've been here for 3.5 hours. I saw that Beetlejuice 2 began filming this week. Absolutely. All right. To give everybody to kind of like close this out, we've been going for 3.5 hours. This has been an amazing fucking chat. So many new channel members. We unlocked 2 new custom emojis. Absolutely amazing. All kinds of cool stuff. Yes, Plothole is the random god that popped in. And Hank says the phone was the timer that they were using. Oh, sorry. The phone was the timer that the moderator was not paying any attention to. So everybody who's here, this has been an amazing live chat. I want to say, first and foremost, 1, new content coming out on Bridge the Divide. I've got a new Cartheus coming up that I am currently in the middle of editing, and I have got a 2-part Eric Hovind dissection, which will break apart his shit. So I'm looking forward to getting those out to you. Of course, Week in Horror still going on every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. We are literally like, if I double check, if I go here, and we are 107 subscribers away from 1K over at Week in Horror, which is the horror film podcast that I, Johnny O, Aaron Media Macabre is in the chat, that we all do every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time over at Week in Horror, youtube.com/Week in Horror. If you could subscribe to that, that would be amazing, because I would like us to hit 1,000. We are currently at 893. So it's 107 subs to get Week in Horror to 1,000. That would absolutely be fucking amazing. So please support us over there. So we got this going on. So yeah, of course, new content coming up, Bridge the Divide. We've got Week in Horror every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Very close to 1,000 there. We just watched Professor Dave absolutely nuke from orbit James Tour's argument in his position. It was absolute trash. I cannot wait to hear the further dissections that other people can have, like other individuals come into this and look at this. I cannot wait for that. Archangel, the link for that is down in the description below. youtube.com/weekinhorror, but the link is in the description. So this was absolutely amazing. A giant thank you to all of the people in the live chat, all of the brand new channel members, the magnificent generosity of Mr. E-Man and NANA for all of like 90 new memberships that they bought for everybody. So if you got a brand new membership, it's Mr. E-Man and NANA who made that happen. Absolutely amazing stuff. And a giant, huge, enormous thank you to all of the milestone chats and all of the super chats, because your super chats help to make this show possible. Help to keep me doing this, so I don't have to go out there and utilize, full-time utilize my HVAC certification. So I love you all very, very much. Thank you all so very, very much. This was amazing. I know there were so many people in here I didn't get a chance to say hi to, but I hope I got as many people. Please enjoy all the emojis. Thank you, Elizabeth S., for showing all the emojis that our channel members get. You guys have been absolutely fucking amazing. This was an awesome time to get to hang out with y'all. I couldn't think of a better way to do it. I could not, I could not. Where's it at? There we go. So, yeah, this has been an absolute blast. So thank you all so very, very much, And as always, be safe, be excellent to each other. And together, we can bridge the divide.